Well, hello again, everybody. Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, wherever in the world you are. I am in the evening part of the world here. So I want to just say it's the 1st of April. Um, our other channel got taken down today, Aquarius Rising Africa, but not Solutions. So we are here going strong. But they have not made an April Fool out of us, but I think they're the fools.
I forgot it was April
Because
Fool's.
we are sharing truths and perfectly legitimate information, but yet we keep being accused of spreading misinformation. But you know, when they say that, we now understand what it's about. So I have got these two beautiful women with me. Carmen Studer needs no introduction on this channel, but I'm so happy to have MADYSON Marquette as our guest here for the first time. And I am so excited to hear your story. I know you've had such a beautifully interesting life. And from what I've seen and read, just so beautifully intricate and, you know, like a tapestry, a rich tapestry. And had all these beautiful, well, I wouldn't say beautiful things happen with you. I don't think anyone would say that is beautiful, but the way you've come through it, I think your life and where you are now, from what I've heard and read, you're an amazing woman, and I'm really, really grateful to have you here. So welcome to you two ladies, to
Thank
Solutions in
you.
Thank
Aquarius
you.
Rising Africa. It's so
So
wonderful.
excited to
Love
be
it.
here. And for
Yeah,
anyone
Man.
that's listening, these are my two, I love this community. I think we have the greatest community.
we do,
But
we do, we do.
these are my
Yeah.
two that I spend hours on the phone with.
Yeah.
I love chatting and feel a huge resonance with these two, for
Yes.
sure.
Likewise. And I'm
Yeah.
just so happy you back in your house, Carmen.
I
Oh,
know.
are you? I
Your
I haven't
familiar
checked in.
background is there.
Yay. Yes.
Yay. As of Monday, I was so excited.
Wow, that is
Sounds
so
crazy.
amazing. Yeah, I knew you would. I
Or
mean, I knew you
Tuesday,
would.
Tuesday. Yeah, me too.
It was just really they had to clean up your kitchen and make it all pretty, and you had to go and have some holiday time in the hotel. So
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
was just fun, right? It was just a little
Yes, it
adventure.
was. Yes, it was.
A vacation
But
in a hotel.
the other thing that you two really have in common too is that you not only want to expose the truth, but you want to provide solutions and get going and save your country and save the world. And I think that's, one of the things that is the most important thing we can do right now. I was telling Madison this morning, I just want to go back to small town concepts.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I must say, South Africa and apparently Lebanon, we are well on our way with that. There's a guy, a South African guy called Michael Tellinger. I don't know if you ladies have heard about him, but he's
Mm-mm.
doing amazing stuff, and we're going to be doing a interview with him sometime soon about the one small town, and
I
also
love it.
starting.
Oh, is that
Yeah,
what it's called? That's awesome.
Yeah.
I just think it's the best, and I'm so excited to see where the future is leading us. But on that note, Madison, I'm gonna ask you to tell us a little bit about yourself. I know you've been out on the circuit, if you call it that, for a while, but you've not been on our channel yet. So I would love for our viewers to get to know you better, because I'm
Hmm.
definitely hoping this is not the last time we see you. Um, You've had a very interesting life, and I know you've also been sadly trafficked through churches. I think, is that what you call it? The evangelical churches, the Billy
Yeah.
Grahams of the world. You've
Yeah.
had some awful times with the porn industry, and but more than anything, and I was saying to you before, without those labels, I want to know who you are, because you're such a beautiful soul. Who are you without your labels before we even get going?
Like now or back then? I feel like I'm completely two different people, you know. I mean, listen, you can be a product of like what you've gone through, right? or you can rise above it and you can become something great. And people question you at every turn. Like I had it this
Oh,
morning with a stupid police officer. I'm sorry, I'm going to say it. Like, you know, because my neighbor's crazy and she comes to my door. It's like, I don't have to explain myself. I learned a long time ago, you don't have to explain yourself to people, because explaining yourself is like becoming defensive. And why do we need to become defensive? If you're telling the truth, there's no need to defend it, because truth always comes out, right? No matter what, whether it's now or 30 years from now. So I think I've just grown up so much over the past, like, even, you know, couple of years, I want to say, you know, 3 or 4 years of just really coming into my own and not letting people live like rent free in my head and, you know, different things,
Absolutely.
just, and getting to know the right people too. I mean, Carmen's been on this journey with me where I've let people in and you get to know them and they're like cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. And you're like, wait a minute, you know, and being okay with saying, okay, no, you cannot come in my life. You can't be in my life. You can't even occupy a space in my life. And it's okay to tell people whatever they are, a police officer, a firefighter, a government official, a pastor. You're allowed to say, you know what? I'm not okay with your actions and what you're doing. So I'm going to stand up to this, whether it makes me uncomfortable or you uncomfortable or someone else uncomfortable. I don't know if that answered your question like a little bit, but you know, I've just grown so much from what I've gone through. And, you know, I'm grateful for those experiences. People think I'm crazy when I say that, but if I didn't have those experiences and I didn't go through those hard times, I don't think I'd be fighting as much as I am now, you know? So.
And gathered wisdom along the way, which I think, as you say, you can be a product of your environment or you can transcend that, you know.
Yes.
And from what I'm seeing, you've kind of transcended that. You've learnt what you've obviously come here to learn through that, and you are where you are now, where you can be in that position where you stand up for yourself and say, "Screw you, buddy."
Yeah.
Um, you
Yeah.
know, this is what it's about for me. But I love
I
that.
did
I
this this
love.
morning. I told the officer, I'm like, you can fuck off. I slammed the door. She's like, can I have your name and your info? I'm like, no, fuck off. Get off my property. I have not committed a crime. Like, no, you cannot have any of my information. I don't care what you think of me. Get off my property. You don't, you
yeah.
know, like there's,
Good
again,
girl.
it's just standing up for what is right. But people see certain people in uniforms, whatever, and they are afraid of them because those people have an abuse of power for so long. That's like, no, screw you. I'm not playing along. I'm not playing your game, you know.
Absolutely. Well,
So,
I
kudos to
love
you
that.
for that. Love that. Absolutely. And I know, Carmen, you had a similar thing recently also with your
oh
shenanigans
no
going
way.
on
We
there.
haven't talked.
Yeah,
We
I'm
need
not
to
going public
catch
with
up.
it though. But what I would say, it's so funny because, like, you know, people would say previous porn star or, you know, whatever the labels are. But what I would say is that she is a warrior and she's a teacher. And one of the greatest lessons I learned from her, and I repeat it often and always give her credit, and that is that there is no such thing as child prostitutes. And when you think about how they get us to accept the premise, it's just like the, you know, the lady that wants your
Exactly.
information or whatever. You know, I'm
Yeah.
not going to accept the premise that I owe you this, you know. And so they slide these little word games in, and they have all of us thinking, oh, well, that kid was a prostitute. No, that kid wasn't a prostitute. So I thank you so much for that lesson. I share it all the time, and there's been many. And so I would just like to add those two, warrior and teacher.
I was
Aw.
actually, you're so intuitive, and I love this. And this is so cool with us women because we kind of do this, don't we? I was about to actually ask you, what are some of the highlights? I mean, I know you've had Madison on your show a number of times that you've actually gained from having her there. And what have you seen? What have you understood about her? So, but you answered that before I could ask you. But if there's
And
anything more,
I,
I'd
I
love
thought of
to.
one more though too, is
Yeah.
as much
The
as
police
she has
officer's
been
knocking on my
through.
door again, guys.
Oh, that's okay. I'll keep talking and you can turn it off and or, you know, mute it or whatever. But I just
Okay.
wanted to
I
share.
apologize. Like, give me a
Yeah,
second.
no
No
worries.
To the
If you
It's
don't
phones,
first
I
of
come back,
apologize.
we
April.
understand.
Madison, it's the
Handle
first of
your
April. We're
business.
having fun.
Hopefully she mutes it too. Did she mute
Yeah.
it? Can we
I
mute
don't.
it for her? Because I don't think she muted it.
I
Um,
can't see her yet. Let me actually just see the participants.
if you click on participants, you should be able to mute her. I don't think we can hear her, thank goodness, but
Okay, there, I've muted her.
okay. So the other thing that I wanted to share that I think is so phenomenal is that after all she's been through, this woman still opens her heart. She still allows people in. There's a lot of people that have been through a lot that isolate and they close down and they make their happy little bubble, which is great. I mean, I think that that's good too. But she continues to open her heart to people and give them an opportunity to be, a real person. Of course, she shuts it down quick. She notices that, they're not. But I think that's a really incredible quality. I really do. And I'm so thankful for her because she literally is holding up so many people that go to her, like Jesse, like you, like me, but way more people than we hold up in sharing how to come out of this and how to come out of it safely,
Yeah,
which is a huge
absolutely.
issue.
I can't imagine having experienced what people like Madison have experienced. I mean, you and I have come across quite a few in the time we've been doing what we're doing here. So, it is, to me, it is such a privilege to actually speak to someone like
I
Madison,
know.
because
I agree.
to have risen above that, to still, as you say, open your heart to people and give them an opportunity to actually prove that they're assholes or not, and then, when, if someone proves they're an asshole,
Right.
we can then say, no thanks, been there, done that. But really, what she's been through, I mean, just, gosh, it's
Oh, it's
crazy.
amazing.
And
It's
still to be
amazing.
harassed,
And then
still to
she's
be
so
harassed.
fierce. She's so fierce for Jesse too. And I can
Yeah.
share this because it's public. She's been, posting stuff on Twitter and it's just been so funny to me that, Jesse of course still has her gang stalkers or the people that are consistently after her over
Always.
and
Oh
over
my
again.
gosh,
And
always.
they're always trapping the new followers, the new followers defend her. And Madison just cuts in there and she's like, just block them, stop. And then the people are being nice, because they don't know, they haven't done it as long as we have. I'm an immediate block. If somebody isn't kind or is questioning something over and over again, that's bullying to me.
Total
I
bullying.
answered, I have a difference of opinion. Stop harping on that we have a difference of opinion. So I just get rid of them. And I always tell people on Twitter, feel free to block whoever. I respect people that block me because they know their boundaries. You know, I think that's great. They don't have to deal with me if I'm activating something inside of them. So
Exactly.
why not? But she went so far as to say, because people were saying that Jesse was communicating with Satanists or something. And so she went so far as to say, okay, it's done. I went ahead and followed him. I'm following a Satanist because they're better than these horrible guys that are running churches that are raping and torturing children. And so, like I said, I'm not sharing anything that wasn't public, but and then I ended up in trouble because I quote tweeted it and I was like, I see her point. I didn't even agree with her. I just said I see her point. And I had all these people, capital letters, responding to me about how bad I was. And I literally just went block,
I'm
block,
telling you, you're
block.
going to hell,
So
right?
easy.
It's so silly, honestly. I just think, wow, in situations like that, we have so much to learn about ourselves and we have
Right.
so much to understand. I mean, and we're talking about the coming of the Christ and the end times and what have you, we're going to be sitting in deep source if we don't understand that the greatest gift that Jesus taught us is about non-judgment.
Right.
And there are so many people that have not understood, from my observation and what I'm seeing out there, that haven't understood what that means.
Yeah.
So, and when I look at like someone like Madison, for example, who's been literally to hell and back and still has the ability to be gracious. And not just her, I have to say. I deal with a number of people who
Yeah.
have
It's
had
phenomenal.
terrible
And
things going
Jesse's in the chat too. Jesse, you
Where's
need to
Jesse?
join us.
Jesse! Jesse,
Jesse's in
where
the
are
chat.
you?
That's awesome. I love it. She
Yeah.
said, Jessie said she'd say she's a warrior too.
Yeah.
Also, she's a fierce mother bear. Like, she's that mom that isn't going to let, I mean, that child is completely protected. And she's even homeschooling her kids now. So it's very cool.
That's
Very cool.
amazing. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
amazing. It's good to know people
And
like her.
so
It's good to know people like her exist.
for anyone that's just hopped on, Madison has had a situation with her neighbor this morning, and she had to go to the door for,
Yeah, she had police
I
banging on
hope.
her door earlier on, and so she's dealing with that right now. But anyway, we
That's like that
well,
Tim Pool in the US, how he
while
keeps
we are
getting
waiting,
swatted. Okay.
sorry, while we are waiting for Madison to join us, tell our viewers what you know about Madison. What has she shared with you on your show in the meantime?
It's so funny. I'm trying to remember. Oh, I do remember. So how I found Madison is I saw her um, and Claire O'Kell, and I was like, oh my gosh, like I could just feel the truth. Like to me, it felt like everything she was saying was real. And so I started sharing it on Twitter, and I absolutely love Twitter. I absolutely love the people that are on there. And several people were like, you should see if she'll come on your show. And I don't know why, I just hadn't even thought of it. It also wasn't like when I had first started my show, I started really thinking I was going to start this like way for people to talk outside of, um, you know, it wasn't just it wasn't as focused on the things that I've ended up being focused on. Let's put it that way. And so I reached out to her. No, somebody even went so far as to go to her website for me and be like, here it is. Send her a message. And I sent her a message, and it just took her a couple of days, and we had her on. I think I had her on Michael Jaco first. And then she came on my show. But basically, what she has shared is that, from a very young age, she had a lot of trouble, and she had run away from home, and she had gotten herself. The way she put it was that she had willingly started, getting into porn. It was this progressive way of, hey, you should model. Then, they pull you into this. I do think there's a lot of heavy coercion and a lot of taking advantage of somebody that's only 18 years old or however old she was. I really don't feel qualified to share because it is her story. I'm trying to, I'm just basically trying to remember back to the different things
Yeah.
she said. But I do know that ironically, one of the people that she's accused, which is Joel Osteen, was while she was in jail, he was the very person that was on the television saying something that God used his voice for. And she uses that example often as, God can speak through anything. It doesn't matter if it's somebody that you hate or somebody that has abused you or somebody that has taken advantage of you or whatever it is. And she's just been an incredible warrior for
Yeah.
sure.
She certainly looks like it, and she's taken a lot of flack from a lot of people, hasn't she?
Yeah. And she now has, I'm trying to remember, I think it's called Humanity's Voices. Let me double check it. So anybody that wants to follow her channel, hold on.
Wasn't our famous, was it the pastor or the bishop or the false bishop or whatever, wasn't he also um, giving her a hard time? Was she not supposed to be one of the witches as well?
Oh yes. That was really where, it's funny how bad things have great, silver linings. That's kind of what brought Madison and I to talking like more often. just sharing back and forth, what are you going to do about this? What are you going to do about that? Because he went all out on a witch hunt for all of us. I was a witch. You were a witch. She was a witch.
I'm
Jeff's a
the witch
warlock.
doctor from Africa.
It's kind of interesting to me how they say that when you're a Christian, you need to be, especially if you're an elder, you're supposed to be above reproach. And to me, calling out somebody publicly as a witch when you haven't seen them in their little ceremony or putting their recipes together or whatever it is, I think that's quite evil. And so you have to wonder about somebody like that. But yeah, that was part of what got us. Oh, you know what it is? I think it's just her name, Madison. Because I was trying to find. Yes, it is. So her YouTube, because this is one of the things that she had started. I'm trying to see when she started it. Videos. Well, she's pulled a bunch of them off. So she's got 3 on there now from 3 weeks ago. But I know that she had done a few before that. But I just love, her little motto is "Tell us your story," and it's humanity's voices. And she not only can provide somebody a platform, but she's, really good at discerning who's legit and who's not. It's just like us. We're in that position often where, sometimes you have to take a leap of faith and just trust the person because you don't know. And then you find out, later that maybe they weren't as honest or forthcoming or, whatever. Have you had that? I have only had people who were legitimate so far that I know of.
I've never had anyone that has turned out to be dodgy.
Yeah.
Not that I know of, anyway.
Yeah.
Absolutely not. I think on our channel we've really had very amazing, beautiful people, with really, and each one has had their own story to tell,
Right.
and one more. You can't say one is more horrifying than the other, actually, because each person experiences their story relative to their own experience, if that makes
Right.
any sense
And I
whatsoever.
think the part that made me the most sorrowful, that's the word I'll use, with her story was that after she frees herself, after she gets her life back together, that she ends up having to be the one to go in and get these kids, not because there aren't capable people, but because no one's doing it.
Yeah.
No one believes. There's not a big enough army. And so she's kind of built her own, and found her tribe to go in and save these children. Because she actually goes in and has been trained. And what does she call them? Extractions. And I don't know how often she does it, but I do know there's been several times where I have not been able to get a hold of her because she's on an extraction. So she's seen those kids firsthand. And one of the very first stories I remember is how she could tell that this child was in such pain. And as a mother, she wanted to hold him and do whatever, but they, are always telling you, for whatever reason, and she would be better at explaining that. But there's certain protocol in how you handle these very dangerous situations, because even though you want to pick up the kid, you don't know, is there somebody hiding in a closet that has a gun or, whatever. So the thing is just get him out quick,
When you say extractions, is it like from homes, abusive situations like that, or literally kids that have been kidnapped and
Trafficked, from what I understand. And she would have to verify. So everything I'm saying right now is hearsay. I'm just doing the best I can off of, the conversations we have had. And stuff that, I'm also filtering going, has she been public with that, also.
Sure.
So I'm only sharing stuff that I've heard her say. But yeah, actual, people being trafficked. And she works with I'm not sure if it's a nonprofit or just, a really wealthy man or group that funds it, but they're very well connected and very well, trained, like she was saying earlier, how she works with the marshals.
I read somewhere that she's had combat training to do this as well.
Hmm.
So, which is pretty cool. I want to do some
And she's
combat
been
training.
hurt too on an extraction. She's been hurt to where she had to leave. Her team finished, but she couldn't finish the extraction with them.
Because of the physical, was she
Yeah, she hurt
being,
her shoulder or something. Yeah, can you imagine how physical it is?
wow. Yeah,
I know.
that's crazy.
I'm excited to get her back on here. You know, I am gonna do though. I am gonna text her and see if she's answering it all.
I'm just a little bit concerned, I must be quite honest, about that because she's been off for a while. So I hope everything is fine. We're waiting for Madison, guys and girls. She joined us in the beginning of the show. For those of you who don't know yet, has had some harassments this morning from, by all accounts, from people in her neighbors and police and stuff like that. So she's had to
This is like live news. This is nuts.
exactly.
What the heck? So I just sent her a text. Hopefully she can at least respond to the text message.
Yeah,
Um, all you prayer warriors out there, maybe say a prayer for her, please.
yeah.
Um, this is just so wild.
Anyway, I really hope she's fine.
Yes,
I really,
yes.
really hope she's fine. Um, but I'm
Let's
wondering
talk.
if it's 22-7 my side. It must be 20-12 your side.
Mhm, it is.
So I'm wondering if we should maybe just tune out for a while and come
Okay.
back.
Okay,
Um,
I'll send her a message telling her that we closed down and that we'll notify people on Twitter and
yeah,
wherever if we go back live again today.
yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Okay, guys and girls.
Sounds
So this has
great.
been an unforeseen 1st of April.
And this is not an April Fool's joke.
I was going to say there's so
You
many
can't make
jokes
this stuff
there.
up. No, unless she's getting us really good. I don't know. I don't think
Well,
so,
that's
though. I
also
don't.
possible. Anything and everything is possible, right?
Oh
So,
my gosh.
yeah, okay. Well, I think we're obviously there's something going on there. Um, it's been an interesting day to say the least. For those of you who don't know, our Aquarius Rising Africa channel got taken down this morning. Um, Kind of been expecting it, I have to say. They've been on our cases for a couple of months now, giving us all sorts of nonsense about all sorts of things. So, not too surprised, but it's always disappointing because, of course, but we do have all of our listen to me,
Yes.
all of our recordings and stuff on the back channel. So, find them on Odyssey, BitChute as well. It's Odyssey. I'm not anyone, I promise. Odyssey, but that those will be the other channels. YouTube, blah blah blah. Okay, and
Yeah.
you're
And
gonna
then,
find,
can I say something about that too?
yeah,
I want everyone to know that I take this very, very seriously because I think it's extremely dangerous to take someone like you down who's just putting out beautiful content. And so, what I'm going to be doing is on a regular basis, like driving people crazy, telling them to subscribe, subscribe, subscribe. And I highly encourage anyone that you see people in other chats, remind them that this has happened. Also share it. Don't just share it once, though. You have to share it several times. People for some reason are like, oh, I'll get to that later, but keep reminding people so that we can get Chantelle back up to her 24,000. And what do you have on this one? I don't even know.
oh, we've been going. I think it's maybe 2000 and something. We've
Yeah,
been going.
yeah, it's 2,500. I just looked.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. We've been going less than 2 months, I think, on here. So,
Great job.
Yeah, it's lovely. We love being on this channel as well, and it's growing beautifully, and we love it. And yeah, please, guys. So if you can, we've already got Aquarius Rising Africa 2 up and running. Well, we can only start recording on it tomorrow, I think, within 24 hours. So please go and subscribe there. If Mornay, and I'm sure Mornay is.
Yes, I'm glad you said that because I'm going to do it right now, and then I'll be sharing that one as well.
That'll be great. Thank you so much. Yeah. So
Yes.
just if we can, get the numbers up again, get our viewers back, because it's really important. Not because I want to gain anything out of it, but really there's very important content that we put out there. We've got obviously Jessie, Amanda Bass, which is very, very important. We've had Leo Zagami, recently Tom Althouse, Carmen Studer, Carlisle Studer, my favorite young
You got all the
person.
good ones.
I got all
I'm
the
not
good
seeing
ones.
it, just so you know, I'm not seeing Aquarius Rising Africa 2.
Okay, well, I'll
Is
ask
it the
Monet.
number 2 or is it written out 2?
Roman numerals.
Oh, Roman numerals. Maybe that's why.
Maybe we should just put 2. I said to Mona Roman numerals, but that might confuse things a little bit. So maybe we should
Let
just
me
go with.
look. Let me look. Search filters. Channels. I come up before you do. I guess because you've had me on. Yeah, it's not coming up with the Roman numerals either. You used II, capital II.
Aquaria, I've got it here. Aquarius Rising Africa. Okay, well, I'll get Mornay to, just, Mornay, if you're watching, and I'm sure
See,
you are.
it's not coming
Well,
up.
there's the solutions. Okay, Mornay, if you're watching, please just put the link in. He is
Yeah,
watching because he's no doubt moderating. I think probably Madison's had some problems, so it's taken a little while for her to get back. But anyway, so what we're going to do is I think we're probably going to reschedule this interview.
and
Maybe in the
everybody
next
pray for her,
couple of
please.
days. Yeah, please keep her in your prayers, keep her in your thoughts. These are crazy times, guys. I mean, seriously, the amount of psychic attacks going on right now, the amount of people, in this kind of industry that we're in, taking a lot of flack at this point in time. 2 channels I heard today have been crashed as well. I've been restricted on Facebook, shadow banned on Facebook. Friends of mine as well, the Australia crowd as well. Lots of eyes on Australia and stuff at the moment. That was actually because our final strike was one of our Australia videos, but that we did at least 6 weeks ago, even 6 to 8 weeks ago.
Oh, wow. Was
Yeah.
it the one with the doctor?
No, 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 no. That was the South
No?
African one. No, no. This was
Oh, that's right. You're right.
yeah, yeah. That was Zandre Botha, the South African blood doctor,
Yeah.
who's done the blood
Yes.
test
Let's not
before.
talk about that.
Yeah, exactly. Before and after this thing. But that is incredible information when you see the slides of the bloods before and after. Ah, here she is. Wow, we were about to
Oh,
sign
I'm
off,
actually
Madison.
getting arrested, so I gotta go. April
oh,
Fools.
oh.
You,
Oh my gosh. We literally said that while you were gone. I'm like, just so everybody knows, this isn't Chantal and I's April Fools. It might be Madison's, but
Listen, there really was an officer at my door.
wow. Okay, well, welcome back. Gosh, we were about to sign off,
Chantel, we're gonna have to
literally.
do another one where I apologize to the audience again. Listen, she ended up being a very nice officer, so I actually gave her one of
well,
my books
good.
and was like, learn something.
Wow.
So, she was very nice, very, so
And I'm
yeah.
over here trying to tell your story. She's asking me questions. I'm like, I am so inadequate at this, and I'm working off of
Oh my,
memory, and it
okay.
didn't go well. So
I
I apologize if I said anything wrong.
No, I
It went
apologize.
well.
Viewers, I apologize again. This is just warfare going on, I think, with everybody, with Chantelle's, we talked about it before we came on with her channel going down. And then I know Carmen has had some warfare over these past few weeks at their home. And, so the officer was
Lots of
nice.
things happening. Yeah.
Yeah.
But welcome back. Really
Thank
happy
you.
to have you back. And yeah, glad that one's over. Clearly something had to happen.
Yes,
But
she took care of it. Again, I think you can turn, I always say this, you can turn like everyday places into sacred spaces. I stole that from someone, but I love the saying. And so, she went from I don't believe you to I gave her like, and I was like, I'm on like a media thing right now, but I'm gonna just real quick tell you this of like what I do. And she went from like, I would love to do that with you and help you out and help get these kids. So, it went from not believing to, just again, treating people with the respect, even police officers, because how do you change things, And
Right.
even she was trying to scare me. She was like, what is your name? I'm gonna arrest you. And I was like, I don't have to give you my name. I'm a state national. Like, I don't have to like give you this information. But again, if you just treat officers the right way, and educate them, that's our job. That's a whole nother show though. of
we should actually do a show on that, educating police officers.
Yes.
That's good.
Yeah, it is.
For
A
real.
friend of mine, she's from oh my gosh, I'm gonna get it wrong. Germany, and we've done shows about it because she escaped the regime. And so here in America, she's like, this is the regime rising up. And so we've
Yeah.
done, that we have to, as constitutional Americans, teach,
Right.
the officers the right way because they weren't taught it, right? It's not their fault that they're uneducated. It's just what they were
Right.
taught. So
Right.
again, I am so sorry. Please
No,
forgive
it's
me.
absolutely fine. But I'm going to get straight into it then.
Yeah.
And I'm going to say to you, I'm going to ask you, um, how did you get into the trafficking? What happened?
Sure.
How? Yeah.
Well, I actually made the choice to do porn on my own. I was going through a divorce. I mean, I went from being abused as a child to marrying a guy 11 years older just to escape, right? Like, and this guy that was 11 years older, I mean, we were jet setting around the world. I mean, Australia, Korea, all over Canada. I mean, when you're 18 years old and you're going to all these places and he's paying for it, of course, I'm like, it beats the abuse, as and so we ended up going through a divorce, and I needed money. I didn't have any skill set, and so I actually knew, I call him a mainstream producer, not a porn producer. He's actually still a friend of mine today. I called him up and I said, hey, I need to somewhere to stay. He lived in Los Angeles on Mulholland Drive, which is like where all the celebrities live. Drove up Mulholland Drive and stayed in his huge mansion, right? As I drive up, this like drop dead gorgeous woman walks out. She's in this blue Lexus and she's like, listen, I heard what's happening with you. Let's go party tonight. So I'm like, okay, let's go party. And in LA, you have to have either money or status to get like VIP service, to get into like the top of the clubs. And so we're partying and she has stacks and stacks of cash. I'm like, what does this woman do? Like, and again, even though I was being abused as a child, I was very sheltered. Like, they didn't talk about sex. Like, it wasn't a conversation you had, even though I had sex with my husband and only one other person. So knowing what like porn is, it just wasn't, it was like, what is a porn? So she said at the end of the night, I do porn and you should go to Vivid Entertainment, which was down the hill of that producer's house. She's like, and ask them to do porn. And I was like, porn, like what, why would I do porn? But when you're in desperate situations, you kind of make desperate choices. And so I drove down the hill, sat in an In-N-Out parking lot, looking at Vivid Entertainment. And at one point, I think I just didn't think anymore, drove across the street, went into the Vivid Entertainment, asked the receptionist, listen, I want to do porn. How do I do it? She went and got a producer. The producer came out and said, oh, I'll have sex with you right now. I'll give you this amount of money.
Gosh.
And I was like so disgusted by him. And I just was like, not happening. So he gave me a card of a guy named Derek Hay of LA Direct Models. And he goes, he's the top porn agent. Like, go talk with him. As I was walking out, he's like, you're going to make a lot of money, kid. You have that girl next door. Like, you're going to make a lot of money. And so I just didn't think. I went, drove to Derek's porn company, walked in, they gave me a sheet and they're like, what will you do and what will you not do on camera? I didn't even know what like it meant. It had like BG for boy, girl, like it had all of these things. And I had to ask the person next to me, what is this? And the girl was like disgusted. I mean, she was like this, she was a pretty porn star, but you know, like huge fake boobs, like like, you're crazy, lady, you're in here asking me what this is. And so when you walk in, there's like receptionists there, right? So I walk in, I fill it out, I go in, there's a guy named Kevin there. He's asking me why I want to do this. And then all of a sudden Derek walks in. Now Derek was from the UK, handsome, you know, obviously you're kind of enthralled because he has that accent. You're just like, he's confident. He comes in and he goes, take off your clothes. And so I just did it because to me in my head at that moment, my dad used to say, take off your clothes. So you just did that for men. And I took off my clothes. He made me turn around. He's like, sign this contract. And the reason they have you take off your clothes, make sure you're not deformed or any kind of issues, tattoos, whatever. They want to see all of that. So I signed away basically my life. So I did it for a few months. And at this time, as I was doing it, I was actually going to a church called Rock Harbor Church. And I'm like living two lives, right? Going to church and doing these like porn. And I knew like in my head, like this is off. I don't want to do this. There's something off here. And so I actually ended up freaking out on a porn set, like really freaking out, crying. And I was like, I'm not doing this. The porn producer called Derek. Derek started naming all of the people that I love and care about, even my family who I didn't really care about. He was like naming them as, to me, I'm like, they're going to die if I don't do this. So my makeup was already like porned out, done. And I was like, you know, crying and the fake eyelashes were coming off. And I said, can I just get myself together? And the producer said, no, we're going to film it as a gang rape scene. So I got gang raped on camera. At that point, I was like, I need help. Like this, I cannot stand up to this guy. I need help. So at the time, Rock Harbor Church, there was a guy by the name of Mike Erie. He was the pastor. So I reached out and I was like, I need help. Can you help me? Well, when you get into the porn industry, when you first get into it, they have drivers that like you go to either like where the agency is or to Derek's house, and you leave your car and the drivers drive you, right? Like to the set to make sure you get there and you're actually going to do it. So I'm driving right to Rock Harbor. I told Mike Erie what happened. And imagine, I'm 18, right? You're like 18, 19-year-old child saying to this grown, bald man, I just was getting raped on this porn set. It's not an easy thing to do, but you're desperate for help. Well, Mike Erie said, oh, I'll help you, I'll help you, I'll help you. Well, he then ended up calling Derek. I didn't know he was connected to Derek. Derek's drivers drove down to, this was from Los Angeles to Orange County, which, you know, depending on traffic could be 2 hours, you know, so I felt like I was sitting there forever, but he said he was going to help. So I just trusted that this pastor was going to help. He said, you're going to go with them. I knew at that moment my life was over. People were like, why didn't you run? You know, you're scared. These are big guys that are coming to get you. They're driving you. So they drove me back up to LA. Derek said, I own you now. And then that is when it switched from being willingly doing porn to being trafficked through the porn industry. The locks were on the other side of the door. I mean, it was like a beautiful prison, right? You're in this mansion. You can come out when you're doing porns. And so for a few months, he ended up having me do multiple like porn, got me popular in the porn industry where they wanted to book me all the time. He goes, okay, now I can book you for privates. Well, one of the first privates was at the time, Rock Harbor Church had afterflow services at a place called, oh my gosh, I'm having a blonde moment. the Shark Club. It was the Shark Club. And so they're driving us down to the Shark Club. And I'm thinking, oh my God, like this pastor's going to help. Like maybe this is it. And they line up me and a bunch of other women. And the pastors walk in. Mike Geary comes in and says, I'll take her, and bought me for a private. And so,
whoa.
Right.
What? The pastor you've just been to ask?
Oh, I didn't know that part.
Yeah. So fast forward, I mean, and this is like being trafficked through state lines. I mean, when people are like, why didn't you run, or why didn't you go away? Like, one, I was traveling internationally, and no one told me back then, don't have your passport on you, don't have your social security card on you. Like, you shouldn't carry these things around with you, because if you one, identity theft, right? Or if you get taken, they have all of that. So Derek had all of this information. There were international travels that even I don't think I was aware of where we were going, because they had it for me. And it would be like, oh, she's my wife, or she's this. It made it look as if I was traveling with these people. So, I mean, years of being trafficked through the adult film industry, through churches, celebrities, politicians. I mean, this is almost a decade long of like trafficking. And I mean, and make major players that are in, like, you know, TD Jakes. I mean, and I talk about Joel Osteen. He never did anything to me, but I saw him do things to other people. He's likes dudes, so I'm not his type. But there's, you know, all of these, Billy Graham, like I said, there's like a lot of these, Franklin Graham. I mean, when he went through his initiation, I was there with Billy Graham, of like the dark side. So it's like you're seeing all this stuff and you're like, what the heck is going on? I'm ready to die. Like, this is, you go from a prison of a child to a prison of being trafficked. Now, fast forward, I am like just over it. Derek, I'm older now. Derek's like, I sold you overseas. You're no longer needed here. I'm guessing that if I ended up going overseas, I would have been groomed to groom other people. I'm guessing that's what it would have. I don't know. Or I would have been like a baby maker. I'm guessing, you know, because I'm still in my 20s. And so now let me tell you this before I go to how I got out of it. This is what I was talking to the officer about. Like, you know, like standing at my door, like, this is just crazy. But I had written a check. My husband at the time, that's 11 years older, he was very well off. So I wrote a check from one bank to another bank and took money out of it. Well, it was felony burglary, which the way that it like read on, like, when I got arrested, it looked like I went and like held up a bank with a gun,
right?
Which I did not do. I laugh about it now. I was not laughing then, I promise you. But I had a warrant out for my arrest for felony burglary for taking this money and writing that bad check. Well, in California, they don't have basements. There's earthquakes in California, so they don't have basements. And if they do, it's very rare and odd. Well, I was in this house in a basement getting ready to be shipped overseas, and my passport was about to expire too, right? Your 10-year passport is about to expire, so they have to ship me quickly before that expires, because they can't go take me to the passport office and risk, right? So all of a sudden, these police officers raid that house. To this day, I don't know how they knew I was there. I have no idea. And the guy that arrested me was like the nicest police officer. He actually like put me in the back of the car. He put the handcuffs in front, which they never do. I mean, I could have slipped my hands out. He took me to the gas station. He got me a drink, and I can't remember if he got me food or not. I remember he got me a drink and was like very nice. And then a block away from the station, he goes, okay, I now have to put them in the back of you. I had to make them a little tighter, but like explain the process of what was going to happen before I went into the jail. So I went into the jail. I mean, just, you're going from one prison to another, right? Like just prison, even though they look different. And I go through the process. When you get booked, if you don't get booked on a weekend, you have to see a judge the next morning. So if you get booked before 5 o'clock, you have to see a judge so they can set a bail or whatever it is. I was going to see the judge the next morning. There was an officer who goes, I know you. I'm like, no, you don't. And he's like, you're the this porn star. He used my porn name. And I'm like, that's not me. Okay. I promise you, like, that's not me. I didn't want him to know it was me. Right. He's like, no, it's you. And so then that night, my bail got set. It was like a ridiculous bail. It was like $120,000. Like it was an insane bill. That night, I got called to the roof of the jail. That officer that said he knew me ended up raping me on the rooftop of the jail. So for over 70 days in this jail, I was raped over and over again. And I'm like, okay, death is what I'm going to have, and death is what I want, and I'm going to kill myself. And so I was trying to figure out how to kill myself in the jail. I'm like, okay, do I hang myself with a sheet? Do I find a lifer that can kill me? And like, how do you do this, right? Well, let me tell you something. When I was a little girl, there's a gospel artist. Her name's Crystal Lewis. And when I was little, I used to do these shows called A Trend from Beginning to End. There were fashions of each era. So it started with like Adam and Eve, and then it had fashions of like 20s, 30s, 50s, all the way up to the 90s grunge era. And at the end of each of these shows, they would do a gospel message, and then Crystal Lewis would sing a song, Come Just As You Are. So now fast forward, I'm in this jail, right? And I loved Crystal Lewis when I was little. I thought she was beautiful. I mean, she was like hip, and, I wish I'm as hip as her now. She was back then, and I am in this jail ready to kill myself, and I hear the song Come Just As You Are, because I'm in general population, so there's like 16 women or something in there, and so I'm singing Come Just As You Are. I'm hearing the song Come Just As You Are. I go into where the rec room is. I see, out of all people, Joel Osteen, who I did see, never did anything to me, but saw him do things to other people. And he pops up on the TV and he says, you're in the worst place that you've ever been, and you're wanting to kill yourself. Just give God one more chance. And now, prior to walking into that room and hearing that song, there was a woman there who had to spend the weekend in jail for parking tickets. And so she couldn't pay them. So she decided to spend a couple days in jail. And she said to me, you're going to get out tonight. And I told her to F off, and like was yelling at her, because I was just like, you're crazy, lady. I think that was the first time maybe I knew that prophecy was real after. So I finally bowed my head and said, all right, God, I'm going to give you one more chance. That's it. You know, one more chance. And then I'm done, because I don't want to live like this anymore. And so all of a sudden my name gets called. I think, oh my gosh, I'm going to get raped again here on the jail. Like, I'm cussing out God. I'm like, I gave you one more chance. This officer's going to rape me again. And then the officer says, roll up your bed. You got bailed out. So I got bailed out of jail, went into court, said, I'm pleading guilty. They took the the felony down to a misdemeanor. The judge said, I've never had anyone want to plead their guilt as much as you do in this courtroom. He goes, if you do house arrest for 2 months and get a job, he's like, I will take it from a misdemeanor to being expunged off your record. And so that's what I did. The lady that ran the fashion shows when I was little called me up and said, God told me to bring you into my home. So when I was on house arrest, I was with someone that I trusted. It was like the first time in years that I like slept through the night, because I knew I wasn't gonna be harmed in her home. And then like that's where I think my journey actually started, was in her home. I mean, she was a godly woman. She prayed. I mean, she always had these like all these Bibles out on her bed. Like, she just was a prayer. I mean, she still is. She's a prayer warrior. And then I went from California, moved to Colorado, and then that's when I think I really started to start my healing journey and go from there. So that's like how I got in, how I got out, and I don't know what else you need. My story is so much that it's like, what else, any other questions? I mean, I can get to the tribunal part, but I don't know if you have any questions up to this point.
I'm just astounded. I mean, I'm mesmerized by what you're sharing. I can't say I'm shocked, not after the stuff that we've been hearing goes on, but I can never stop being horrified by the amount of people that abuse their power and
Yeah.
the manipulation that goes
Mhm.
on. And
Yeah.
thank God that you got out, and thank God that you are doing what you are doing. I have a million questions, and rest assured, I'm going to invite you back with them all written down. But right now, I would love to hear as well about your. I know you've been a witness in some of the military tribunals. I know just before you came back on, Carmen was sharing about the extractions that you do. I don't know if you'd like to maybe share anything like that with some of our viewers.
Sure. Well, where I'm at now and how I got into extracting, I think God always turns your pain into your ministry, you know? And
Yeah, yeah.
when I was in Colorado, God had told me to come forward and start naming names. I had written a book in 2014, but when I wrote that book, I had changed all the names because I was scared, because they're big players, right? You come up against these players, they're going to sue you, they're going to come after you. There's a lot of things that they have the resources to do, right? So I came forward, I went and got an attorney, and I started to file lawsuits under Jane Doe statuses against these pastors, right? Just to protect my children, right? Because I am doing these in the court, so I want them under Jane Doe's status. So even though I'm out there saying like this is me, I still want certain things protected on that. And then all of a sudden, my attorney calls me and says, "You got a subpoena." And I laughed because we get subpoenaed all the time, and we quash the subpoenas. And you're like, "You don't need this information." And she's like, "No, this is like a weird, like this is a military subpoena. Come meet me." And so I went and met with her, and she's like, "Listen, these are military tribunals." And of course I'm asking like questions. Are these real? Is this legit? Is that, you know? And she's like, "Yes, it's real. You know, you're going to have to come testify." And so I dropped off my kids with a trusted, she's like a sister to me and her husband. And I went and flew and I did these tribunals over the course of a couple months. I mean, it was, I think, about 3 months. And I finally just said, okay, I cannot keep flying. Like, we need to figure out how to knock these out quickly. And tribunals are not like a normal court case, right? It's a few minutes, next one, few minutes, next one. So I went and testified. And at that, when I was, the last time I went to the tribunals, I got an offer. I got taken into a room and they were like, "Listen, we want you to be on our task force of rescuing these kids." I started laughing. I'm like, "Yeah, right." Go. There's no way. Like, there's, you know, trained, you know, military officers, like, go ask. And they're like, "No, we want survivors and these to be survivor-led task force because you know what this looks like and you know how to like." You just have we have a different take on it with these kids. So I thought about it. I prayed about it. I'm like, do I do this? You know? And I'm like, you know what? God didn't bring me all this way and like, let me go through combat training and gun training and all of this to not go rescue these kids. So I've gone to the border multiple times. You know, the state that I'm in now, I go and extract the kids and rescue the kids. And so that is like my ministry now. It's, you know, why I'm so vocal about what's going on in these churches, because we have to be aware of our surroundings. You know, we have to be aware what's going on. Are these kids being trafficked? Is there someone, like, if you have kids, right? Even in South Africa or America, it doesn't matter where you're at. Human trafficking is prevalent. People always say, "It's so big in my state." It is big everywhere, and it is under corporations. It's under these mega evangelistic churches. I mean, there are DOMs everywhere. And so we, the people, have the power to stop it, and we don't. So I'm like, you know what? I'm going to start getting loud about what's going on. And I had the blessing to meet, you know, and this is, and you can ask Carmen, it's not been an easy journey. I've had a blessing to meet people like Carmen, like Jesse. You know, people came after me with Jesse at one point where I was like, "Is Jesse real? Is she not?" And I was like, "You little mother effers, she is so real on so many levels." I don't want to cuss, and I don't know what your audience is.
Yeah,
You know,
exactly.
like,
Don't worry. We've definitely had the same. It's
okay.
wonderful. Yeah.
But it's like coming, you know, someone tried to like come against Carmen and these other people. I'm like, you know, when you're telling me that you don't like these people, those are people I want to be friends with even more, because they're probably on the right side of things. You know, the
Yeah.
crazier you say they are, the more I want to be friends with them. So you're just making me like get closer to them in whatever, which sounds crazy. But again, I mean, there's also a lot of good. I mean, there's a lot of good people around. There's a lot of people fighting this, but we have to change it. And they're coming for our kids, and they're coming hard, and they're coming quick. I mean, you know, just look at Disney, what happened with Disney, and they're telling they're not going to have genders. Like, I think maybe Carmen posted like some guy said he got his period. No, you didn't. Okay. You didn't get your period.
You
No,
wish you
you didn't.
did.
Yeah, right. I don't know if you ever saw that. It's an off top, it's like a squirrel moment, but it was like a video where they put like little things on guys and simulated pregnancy, like pregnancy birth. I'm like, every man, that's not even probably half of it, you know, of what birth is. But again, my heart is for these children, all of them. I mean, my children, your guys' children, our future grandbabies, like we cannot leave like my children and these little ones the world that we have now. And things
Absolutely.
change. And all of these like mega companies, even like Sprint or T-Mobile or Verizon, it is a front for child trafficking. And like Carmen said, it's not child sex trafficking. Children don't have sex.
No, they
Children get
don't.
raped. And
Yeah.
children don't consent to porn. I don't care how, and I don't care if it's like an 18-year-old or 17-year-old, that is still a child. They cannot consent. And if you're manipulating them, and people aren't paying attention, like here in America, there are laws that are passing that are illegal laws, right? They're not lawful. But if a 20-year-old asks a 10-year-old for anal sex and the 10-year-old consents, they can't be charged with pedophilia. It's like, no, this is where we're standing up. And that's why we get so much hate and so much craziness, because you're standing up to the Goliath. And the Goliath right now is human trafficking and modern day slavery. And it's not a race thing. That's the other thing. People always say, oh, it's black, white, Mexican. No, it does not matter. It is either a little boy or a little girl. They do not care of the race or ethnicity of the child. They care if it's a little boy or a little girl. That is it, which is sick in
Absolutely.
itself.
I would love to know about some of the kids that you've extracted, and that you've been a part of. I would love to hear some lovely stories around that, some nice success stories. What's it been like? How fulfilling is that journey being for you? I can imagine that must be so fulfilling. Also heartbreaking, and I can imagine it must be as fulfilling as what that is. It must be so hectic to actually go there, experience that, see that. So maybe whatever you can share with us around that. How's that been for you?
You know, that's like a double-edged sword, because it is, you know, it's fulfilling, but you also do extraction sometimes where these kids are clinging to their traffickers because that's all they have known for some time. And so us coming in, right, you're not coming in nicely, right? You're like coming in hot and getting these kids, it's scary to them. So they're clinging. So sometimes that's like very difficult, right? Because you're like, oh my gosh, they're clinging to these traffickers. These are the people that have been raping them and sodomizing them. And like, you know, they don't look like normal kids, right? They don't
Trauma
look like,
bonding.
say that again?
Trauma bonding.
Yeah, exactly. But as we rescue you know, we're doing things so much differently. We have houses across the US where we put these kids. There's a therapist on site, there is a doctor on site that lives there with them. Originally, I was gonna like help like go into the houses a lot more, but because those kids get very attached quickly, I'm like, I run the houses, but I cannot go in as much as I'd like because they would get attached to me. And because I'm doing the extractions, you know, maybe eventually I'll shift to that. But when they're like ready to age out, and again, I'm learning all of this as we go, we started raising money, which I was like hesitant to do because people are so hateful. But one of them is just turned 18, and we were like, listen, we're not going to just throw you out on the street. We've raised this money. We're going to get you an apartment. We're going to make sure you continue your therapy with your therapist because he loves the therapist. And we're like, what do you want to do for school? Do you want to go to a 4-year college? Do you want to, like, what do you want to do? And we don't push it. There's a lot of these organizations that push these kids to do, like, they'll say, oh, be a hairdresser. No, these kids can be whatever they want. They want to be a judge. They want to be a lawyer. They want to be whatever. They can do whatever the heck they want. And so, you know, this kid is just, I mean, he's like awesome. He's going to run the world one day, right? He's going to stand up. And he was like, well, I want to train and maybe military. And so we were like, okay, we're going to pay for you to go through the combat training to see if you, before you like enlist in the military, because that's a commitment, you know, let's show you what that is. And so we're making sure that we can help pay for that journey. Someone asked me, why doesn't the government if the government knows you're really putting this money towards human trafficking, they will cut you off so quick. So like it is the
Wow.
most difficult thing to get funding, even though there's a lot of government that's good, right? Like there's a lot of horrible, right? 98%. So that is like some of the success stories. Some of the kids we have reunited some of the kids. It's been heartbreaking, but this is why I say it's a double-edged sword, is some of these kids have gotten taken by CPS, Child Protective Services, here in the US. And we will go look into, okay, why was this child taken? Were they taken for a reason? Most of the time they were not. It was either a single mom or a single dad that like loved the kid. They just maybe didn't live in the best like area or place, whatever, but they were taking care of that kid. The kid was not harmed, the kid was not malnourished, like the kid was
Ah,
not dirty. And so
CPS.
you're right. Well, and 89% of the kids that get trafficked in America are from Child Protective Services. It's disgusting. And so you are now giving back a child that isn't their normal child. So then you have to pair them with a therapist. And that's not an easy task either. I mean, therapists are like a hairdresser. I mean, I went through so many therapists before I found my therapist who I love and adore, but it's not an easy task. So you have to like make sure that that family can assist this child that's going to have trauma for the rest of their life, but that they can be successful in life. We're trying to do things so differently because taking a child and then not investing back into that child that desperately needs it is not an okay thing. Like it's the kid will just either go into sex trafficking willingly when they're 18, maybe sometimes 16, 17, because that's all they know and they think that's all that they deserve. So you have to like go through that trauma. You have to teach them how to let go of all the demonics that come on them. Again, you can't just start there. If you would have told me
Right.
when I came out of trafficking, you have all the people that raped you's demons on you, I would have been like, you psycho, I don't have any demons on me. You know, careful and it's like it's kind of like a fine-tuned dance, right? But in each family and each child is different. I do tell people are like, what's the biggest need? And I tell them, think and pray about adopting these kids into your home. But that's also a hard one too, right? Because you have normal kids, these kids think that touching another child and doing these sexual things are normal. So sometimes it's like, did you have kids young and now you can, like your kids are 17, 18,
Right.
19, and you can now explain to your kids what the situation is with these children and help. That is like a need, because what happens if you don't find them? And right now with the border crisis, they're having Mexican children come over to America, American children go over to Mexico, and it's very hard to find those, like, even if you have a translator and everything else, hard to find the families. So it is rewarding, but it's a fight. I mean, it is. I have to like come down when I come home, because I come home to my babies who are normal, right, and aren't hurt, and then I get frustrated with them, and I'm like, wait, I'm getting frustrated because, but they don't know why I'm frustrated. It's because I'm like, you're so blessed, just stop fighting or whatever it is, but that's not their fault, right? There's just being children and kids. So it's kind of like mentally you have to really be on it. And like when we do extractions after, they're like, you're taking a week off. If you need more time, take more time. And there's been times, I mean, I've seen some gruesome things where you're taking some more time off and you're like, this is a lot, a lot for sure.
Thank you so much for all you do. Wow.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's such a blessing for the world to have someone like you in it, because when I hear stories like this, I understand on a deeper level the purpose of what you went through, because without that you maybe wouldn't have had the compassion, the wisdom, the understanding that it requires to work with these children. I think, and this is where I'd love to, again, maybe, and I know we're obviously running out of time, everyone, but at a later stage, and even maybe invite Jessie on with us. I don't know if Jessie's still in the chat. Jess, if you're in the chat, say yes, please. But really talk about... Yeah, Jessie's in the chat. She's not
We love
often
you,
in the
Jessie.
chat. Yeah, we love
F
her.
the haters.
Totally. Yeah. But to really, because this for me has been, we've spoken about this, and I know with Carmen as well, and with Jessie, because now that we understand what literally has been going on underneath our very feet, and so many people are
Literally.
still choosing to be blind to this. I mean, we talk about this so often. You know, the minute you mention this, it's just too much for the average person at this point to even think about.
Yeah.
Let alone, I mean, you talk about child trafficking, it's like it's talking about driving in the traffic, right? That's the
Yeah.
average person. That's how much it affects their psyche. Until they are faced with it, until they are faced with people like yourself who've been through it, until we've had our overcomers, until we've spoken to people like Jessie, many of the overcomers we've interviewed on our channel, that is real, and that makes it so real and tangible. So now that we're getting these kids, people like yourself, getting these kids out of these hectically traumatic situations, these children require so much healing. It's not just getting the kids out of there and into a home where they, and as you say, adopted and fostered or what have you, and back to their loving parents, which may not have been so loving to begin with. And as you say, and Australia's also got phenomenal. I mean, Australia's got horror story after horror story after horror story. These forced adoptions, that just horrible things, you know, and child labor and that sort of stuff. These are scarred children, millions of them.
Yeah.
Now, these are the children that are our future. So, what is the solution to helping these children? I mean, we need healers, we
Yeah.
need therapists, we need counselors, you know. The world needs healers and teachers and
Yeah.
just so much love right now, that because it's not just the Lucies, or I call them the Lucies, the Luciferians. It's,
Yeah.
you know, it's one thing the Lucies going down now and crashing and burning, but they have left so much damage behind them to be cleaned up. And a child is a living you. It's not an animal. We all know an animal is a big responsibility. A child, you know, that's come out of these situations with so much trauma, and as you say, all these demonic entities attached to them that the average person has no understanding of, you know, and no understanding. I mean, and that's why Amanda Bass has been phenomenal in the last a couple of interviews we've done, helping us understand what happens when the child gets split. What is DID? What is SRA? You know, how does the brain work? You know, how does the trauma in the brain work? She's really done a fantastic series, and in the process of doing a fantastic series on our channel, helping people to understand that. So now that people, and as you say, these kids are getting out, what tools do we have to help them?
You know, that's a good question. I think there's so many tools. I mean, I think therapists can donate their time. I think doctors can donate their time. I think that there are a lot of ways to go and donate your time, even though they're getting paid. I mean, therapists get paid a lot of money, right? Doctors get paid a lot of money. You can donate a certain amount of your time. And from my understanding, I could be wrong on this, but I believe that therapists, just like attorneys and doctors, they have to have a certain amount of pro bono hours. Like take those hours and put it into these kids, or volunteer your time of like, okay, are you young, healthy? Can you get trained to do these extractions? Like go and get trained to do it, because, you know, I'm getting older too. I can't do this all the time. I know that Jesse's not gonna be able to do it all the time. There are gonna be some of us that cannot do it all the time. And so it's like, donate the time. But one thing I do want to say too, because it drives me nuts. People are like, oh, it's like the movie Taken. No, this is not romanticized movie. This is real life, and these kids are truly getting harmed. This isn't like guns flying everywhere and whatever. Now, yes, sometimes that's going on of like when you're rescuing the kids, but not like the way they're making it look on movies. They're making it look like it's acceptable and that this is like what's going on, and that's not what it looks like whatsoever. We need to like, I go back and forth on showing pictures of these kids. I would never show pictures of the kids that I'm rescuing because I think that's traumatizing them more, and that's out there forever. It's like, how do we make people aware without traumatizing these children like yet again? I think it's bringing awareness and listening, and stop calling survivors liars. I don't care who they are. Sometimes survivors are not, they don't present well, right? They talk a lot. They don't, they're not educated, and that's not their fault. They just have the resources to do it. And so there's a lot that people can do. If you can't give, money or time, you can pray over the warriors that are out there doing it. And you can do, every month I've been telling people, let's do a Jericho walk, where you go for 6 days, you walk around a place for 6 days, and then on the 7th day you walk around it 7th and ask those walls to fall. If you physically can't go anywhere, imagine it that you're walking around that, ask those walls to fall. I mean, there are a lot of different things people can do. They just don't want to. This isn't about gossip. This isn't about, let's figure out who we're naming today. No, this is about these babies, and some women and some men, right? Because women and men are susceptible to it as well. We got to remember that. They might not necessarily want to be rescued, and if they don't, you have to respect that and let them stay because they're adults and they can make their own decision. But for the most part, this is about our babies. And here's the thing. Human trafficking is starting in our schools right now. I mean, we've had it where actually, Carmen, in Austin, Texas, there was a principal that was trafficking the children. The high schoolers he was grooming the high schoolers to traffic the junior high and pimping them out. So it's like we have to be aware.
Kids.
Right, but the principal was the main pimp, basically, the main trafficker of it.
No way.
So there is a lot, that's just like, pay attention. We all can do something. What's going on? I say this all the time. In your neighborhood and in your schools, pay attention. What's going on? Is something off? Listen, if you're a mom, you get that gut feeling something's wrong here. Every mom has it, unless you're cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs, but the majority of most moms, and listen, they may say I'm cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs, but start there. Change can happen all over the place in different scenarios. You don't have to necessarily go in and traffic kids. You can look in your neighborhood. You go to eat, what's going on around you. Be aware, be vigilant of what's going on around you. Go in gas stations, everywhere.
Absolutely. Wow. Well, all I can say right now is thank you so much for what you do, and the courage that you have, and the blessings you clearly bestow on others just by being present, and so brave and such a beautiful soul. And I would love to have you back to talk about deeper stuff and expand more on. Definitely. I'll be in touch with you and Carmen again, and I want to say thank you, Carmen, so much for, I don't want to say introducing me to MADYSON, but yes, actually introducing me to MADYSON. It's amazing.
And it was funny because she had just told me, I'm taking a break. But then when I said, oh, that's too bad because Chantelle on it, she's like, I'll do it.
I trust Carmen. There has been some crazy ones that reach out, and I won't say, but one reached out recently, and I was like, you asked me, and now we're talking on the phone. You're being so disrespectful. I just, listen, God opens the doors when he wants to, but I really trust Carmen, and I don't say that lightly. Carmen and I have gotten to know each other. I've been able to hug her and meet her in person, and I just adore her. And so, and again, next time, hopefully no police officers knock on my door.
Right? It's never boring with MADYSON.
Yeah. Clearly they didn't want the show to happen, but it happened. And I'm very jealous because I'm always threatening to teleport myself to Carmen's place,
I
crash
know.
on her furniture. Just hopefully there'll be no glass there. I can not see any glass. There's a printer there, so you've got to be careful
We're
with that
good.
printer behind you, Carmen. But we will definitely get
Someday.
to this. Yeah.
You can
So
teleport, but don't
thank you.
teleport on my gun. Okay.
Yes.
I purposely put it there for all the psychos.
I was wondering what that was.
It's
I
my
couldn't
gun
tell
and my
from the angle,
candle.
but now that you mention it, I clearly see what that is. That's so funny. I love it.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so, so much. I don't know if
Yeah.
there's anything you'd like to just say in closing before we bid each other farewell for the moment.
No, thank you for having me, Carmen. Yes, thank you for introducing us. And again, I apologize to the followers for me. This was not planned. It was not an April Fool's joke. But me getting arrested was. But I thought she was going to arrest me there for a minute. She was being really weird, and then no, she arrest me. Like, this is ridiculous. So, but I actually became friends with her and gave her a book and was like,
Yay.
call me
That's
sometime.
amazing.
So, but I apologize to the followers. It was not planned, and I would love to come back and just, you two ladies
It'll be
are
amazing. Yeah.
I can see the light
Definitely.
radiating through you guys, and it's amazing.
Well, the light's very bright here tonight, I can tell.
Oh, I can see the
Not my
angels.
best light
I
I
don't know
got
what the
going
angels
on
are
here.
That's
We'll have to do something
Chantelle.
about this the next time we talk. Ah, beautiful. Carmen, is there anything you want to say?
I just love you guys. You guys are my sisters, and I'm happy that we lock arms. And I look forward to the day that it all ends, because it really will be the times that we get together and we can hug, because it has to happen before this
Yeah.
world opens up. And if I want to get to South Africa to see my girl, we got kids to save.
Yes.
That's all I
Exactly.
got.
Exactly.
Thank you for letting me, hang in here with you guys.
Oh, I wouldn't have it any other way. It's so awesome. And the next time we'll have Jessie.
Oh, that'd be great.
Yes.
I think Jessie would be a good foursome, definitely. Yeah.
I think we should Jesse and Lucian Greaves.
I like that
She is
idea.
such a troublemaker.
I like that idea.
Not because of Jesse. I think people are so crazy about that whole thing that it's so ridiculous.
I
And
know.
so I'm like, listen, let's just all have a good. From my understanding, he's not like killing anybody at this point, and so I would rather hang out with him than these traffickers.
Exactly. Well, I think yeah, we should. I also follow him on Twitter, by the way. So
I just hit the follow button. I was like, you know what?
have
Y'all are
to,
beating on
yeah,
Jesse
have
for it.
to. Very, very entertaining to see what. And then I have people say, "I see you following Lucian Greaves." I go, "Yes, and
We're gonna lynch you,
yeah."
stone you, all of it.
Or you also following Lucian Greaves? That's hilarious.
Yeah,
Anyway,
she
lady.
just started. That was the tweet I was telling you I got in trouble with. While
Yeah.
you were gone, I was sharing the story.
That's beautiful. But yes, I will so look forward to having you all back, and we will make it happen very, very soon. In the next couple of days, we will coincide diaries and times and what have you again, and just get some more information and knowledge and intel out there. Knowledge is power. The more people who get to know about these things, and it's just more about us being vigilant and seeing
Yeah.
how this is happening, because as you're saying, I mean, high school kids trafficking other high school kids is just traumatic for me. It's just
Yeah.
beyond even
Yep.
contemplation, but that's clearly happening.
Yeah.
So love you ladies very much. Thank you so much. God bless you all. And for those of you, please give us a like on our new channel, Aquarius Rising Africa 2. Monday will post the link here. We'll be up and running on that one very soon. For those of you who missed that, we've been struck down, as I've been saying for quite a while. I had a feeling we're going to go. But hey, it's 1st of April. It's a new day, a new month, a new day, a new beginning. So we will then start a new beautiful channel. Love you both. Take good care. Mwah.
Bye,
God bless you.
everybody.
Well, hello again, everybody.
Tagged
Good
you on-
evening.
so
Friday. Of course, the Gemini sitting at the bottom of the screen has to be squawking your little head off. While I'm trying to do my awesome intro. Oh, good evening, everybody. Good morning, good afternoon, wherever in the world you are. Welcome to Friday. It's been an awesome day for me. It's just after 6 p.m. in the evening, yeah. And of course, you guys, I know, just really maybe starting on in the middle of your day. So enjoy the rest of it, whatever you're doing. And I am very happy and very excited to have back with me again MADYSON Marquettte and the lovely Carmen STUDER, who is certainly no stranger to this channel. So I am so happy to have you ladies here. Welcome back. And how are you doing?
Great. It's beautiful out. As Carmen's sitting in her car, beautiful.
As Madison said, something doesn't want us all to be on together. Last time Madison had the police coming to her door. This time I have absolutely no Wi-Fi for hours. They've already told me it won't be back on till this afternoon. It's crazy.
They just want us to keep
So,
quiet.
So Carmen's had to take it. Yeah, so Carmen's had to take a trip in her gasless car.
And I'm
Terrified.
so particular about gas. I get mad at my kids when they don't have gas, and here I am with 7%.
She needs a GoFundMe, guys, for gas.
How long I can stay. So if I disappear, y'all will know it's just because I had to go get gas.
And she's taking donations, guys, for her gas.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding.
So if you see this dodgy lady sitting in the parking lot somewhere in Texas,
I know. I usually report people like me.
Love it.
Oh, wonderful. Well, again, you know, Carmen, I know I saw Madison the first time on your show, so it's just so wonderful to have you be the connector, the bridge, and what have you for Madison on Soulutions with Aquarius Rising Africa as well. So, Madison, the last time we chatted, you spoke quite a bit about your beginnings, how you got into the porn industry, some of your horror stories through that. And sure, one of the things that stuck with me and still bothers me, I have to say, was hearing you speak about when you were arrested and one of the cops recognized you by your movie name and proceeded to rape you on the roof every night for months and months. Wow. I mean, I find that abuse of power something quite horrific to deal with.
Yeah.
When I speak to you and when I kind of connect with you, it's hard to imagine that you've been through what you've been through, because to me, you seem so well balanced, so well adjusted. You're doing amazing things with your life at the moment. So I would really like to maybe delve more into that. And maybe we can just start by my asking you, how did you manage to get out? What was the thing that inspired you to leave, or the opportunity that arose? Because you were with high-level guys. I mean, they were not going to let you go easily. So can you maybe share that with us?
Sure. So the way that I got out was, can you hear me or is it frozen?
I can hear you.
Okay, perfect. I know, Chantelle, you
good.
froze for a second. So like, wait, you know, when I got out, I actually got out because I got arrested. And then, you know, I was not always like this. I was a hot mess. I mean, really, just because it messes with your psyche. You just kind of, when I got out and was arrested, I didn't even know, like, how old am I? Where am I? What's my name? Because, you know, they give you so many different names, right? Like when you're getting trafficked through the industry, they give you porn names to go through. So I actually got bailed out of jail like after 70 days. And the funny comical thing about that is my dad, who abused me when I was younger, he's the one who bailed me out. And he said to me when he bailed me out, he called me a whore and said, and I said to him, the last thing I said to him, well, if I'm a whore, it's because you made me one. And I just never spoke to him again, because I'm like, listen, I'm not going to say thank you for bailing me out. Is this your penance or whatever you want to call it for everything that you've done to me? Like, I'm here because of you. Like, and not, you can't, I have my choices, right? I made my choices as an adult, but I also thought getting naked for men was normal. And that's why I ended up in the porn industry. You know, I think 98% of women that are in the porn industry have had some type of sexual abuse or assault when they were a child. So they just think that that's normal. All of the girls that I still talk to in the porn industry that are friends of mine have some type of abuse that they've gone through. And so I actually went into the court. And at this time, there was so much going on, but I also had found God in jail, and God told me he would get me out. Crazy enough, it was through my sick dad. So I had my family, and I don't talk about this very much, but I'll talk about it here, is I didn't talk to my family at that point, but I have a sister who's 13 years older than me, and my mom, who they always had a tug of war with me because I'm the youngest. And so when I had gotten out, they were like, live with me, live with me, live with me. But it wasn't because either one of them cared about what happened to me. They only cared about what happened in my life when things were like wrong and bad. And I'll get to that, because that is things that I've talked about, like government, certain things that they've done to families and that they've sold their kids out. So this tug of war that they had between me, and I was like, you know what, I'm just going to go back and forth, because I just felt like so broken and torn. And so I'd go back and forth from my mom's house to my oldest sister and her husband's house, like just back and forth. And so I was going to court, right? Because I still had charges. I had felony burglary charges. Like, I didn't go hold up a store. And so when I went into, right before I had a court date, God had given me a Bible verse, and it basically said, if you plead your guilt, I'll forgive you. And so I knew I had written years prior that bad check. And so what am I going to go fight in this courtroom for? I did it. I did the crime. So I had called, I'm not going to say his name because he's still a friend of mine today, but he was a lawyer who went to law school with my sister. And I called him and I said, listen, I want to plead guilty here. How do I plead guilty without everyone saying I'm crazy? And I said, my family's going to go crazy. They're going to go crazy. And so he explained to me that in the state of California, there's something called a Marsden hearing. And that Marsden hearing, you can go in and say, like, I want to plead guilty. So I went in first. I had a public defender, so a state appointed attorney. I fired her and I said to the judge, I want to plead guilty. Then the public defender tried to say that I was crazy. I don't remember what how she said it, but it was basically she's crazy. So immediately I said to the judge, because my friend said to me, once they say you're crazy, ask for a Marsden hearing. So I asked for a Marsden hearing, which a Marsden hearing is basically a competency hearing. So you go into a court with another judge, the district attorney is in there, and they have to determine, can I say I'm guilty or am I not guilty? And the funny thing is, right before that night, I was with my oldest sister, and she had this like creepy looking Jesus, like made out of straw, like on her wall. It was just, and I would look at it and I'm like, I can't, it just, looking back, it was just, God had given me that verse. And I was like, I know that's not what you look like. Like, I'm talking to this creepy Jesus and she has on her wall. I think that's comical, because back then I didn't think it was. Now I think it's comical. So I'm talking to her, right, to this creepy Jesus. And then I go in and I'm thinking about this creepy Jesus as I'm going into another courtroom. And I'm thinking, that's not what God looks like. That's not who God is. And I just feel like his presence. I can't explain. I just feel his presence. And I had my little Bible verse like written on the card. And I said to the judge, listen, I'm not crazy. I want to plead guilty. And I like had my little statement written out to the judge and my Bible verses. And I said, I did this. I just, whatever my punishment is going to be, I just want to take my punishment and I want to like move on with my life. And so she actually got teary-eyed and said, if I could give you a hug right now, I would. Which, in now, what I know now with like judges and how they are like in evil seance, for her to say that, there was a reason why I got that judge, right? She needed maybe to hear God, and me sitting there broken, she heard God through me. So she said, give me a second. So I go into the other courtroom with the other judge, and the judge took it down from a felony misdemeanor to, or I'm sorry, felony burglary to a misdemeanor. And he said, I'm going to put you on house arrest for 60 days, go get a job. And then if you do your house arrest, I'm going to expunge this off of your record, which is like unheard of.
You don't ever do that.
No. And he was like, listen, no one has, and then the other judge said, no one has ever come in here and wanted to plead their guilt as much as you want. But it was like, you know, do the right thing, right? And so I talk about her often. Her name was Yvonne. I talked about her. She had the Fashion Forward Ministries when I was a kid. And she called me and she was like, listen, God told me to bring you into my house. And so when I was in her house, my oldest sister was friends with her because they're around the same age, and told her she needs to live on the street. Don't bring her into your house, because if I wasn't able to go on house arrest, the other thing is I would have had to go to jail for 60 days. And that I didn't want that, because I would go to the jail where that officer was. And she said, God told me to bring her into my home, and I'm going to bring her into my home. And I, you know, it's funny. I was so broken at that moment. And at that time, there was a lot that was going on. One of my sisters tried to sell me back to Derek Hayes of LA Direct Models. She went to him and was like, I know where she's at. You can like take her. But at that time, I'm telling you, talk about divine protection and covering, because he never came to Yvonne's house. And I don't know if it's because my sister didn't tell him exactly where the location, or if she knew exactly where I was at. But
just chime in if you don't mind. I'm just interested to know the relationship with your sister then. Why was she ratting you out, I guess would be the term. How did that come about, that she wasn't protecting you? Because I would imagine if this was one of my sisters, you better believe I'd be raising hell to make sure that those creeps didn't come near her again.
Right. Well, see, I have 5 sisters. So this is a different, not the one that the 13 years older. So the one, you know, there's a government program, and they basically, what they do is they pit siblings against each other. And so one will be successful and the other one will end up how I ended up, in the porn industry. And so it is it's like an MK Ultra program that they do. And so this one sister, when I've spoken out, you will see she's the one who comments all the time. She will put a bunch of different names, and then she'll talk about herself. I'm not going to say, like, she'll say what she does for a living and she'll put it on there. And so it's to pit them. It's basically, it's basically like survival of the fittest. Can I survive outside of them? And if I do survive and I'm successful in any way, they can't have that. So they will bring you down. You know, this one sister that I'm talking about, when she did come see me in jail, and what she said to me, and first of all, I had lost so much weight. I mean, I was like, probably a -0 at this point, just like anorexic and skinny. And she said to me, you look so beautiful in there. How do you look beautiful in jail? Like, who says that? I'm sitting here behind a jail cell and you're talking about your jealousy is coming out. Like, it's, wow. And the weird thing is the one thing about her and I is we do look very similar. I've had stupid people pass around her picture and say that I'm saying that that's me. That's not me. We just look very similar. People used to ask if we were twins growing up. The other sisters, we have Indian in our family, and they have like that Pocahontas look, very like dark skin, and you know, so for her, it was, let me take her down and she can't be successful. And when I wrote my book in 2014, she did exactly what she did when I got out of jail. It was like, I can't do anything good. And if I do anything good, she's going to try to bring it completely down and completely just wreck my life. And so after I had got off of house arrest, I actually ended up getting pregnant. I had traveled to Colorado with someone that I had known for a very long time and got pregnant. And to me, I ended up moving to Colorado, and it was just my escape. I mean, unfortunately for that guy, I wasn't ready to, one, be in a relationship or like have any type of romantic anything because I was a hot mess and didn't know how to heal myself. At that time, when I had moved to Colorado, well, let me tell you this about Yvonne real quick though, because when I was in her house, it was like, and I think I might have said this before, it was the first time in my life that I had, in my life since a childhood, that I slept through the night and I knew I would not be harmed. And she lived there with her husband and her 2 kids. I mean, it was just, I would get up every morning and she would have her Bibles and her journals all over the bed. There was just this, like, I don't know what to call it, but this, she tells me I had a light about me when I was a kid, but she's the one who always had the light, and I was always drawn to her as a child and as an adult. And so I owe it to her, a part of me. And I tell her this now, I would not serve God if it was not for you loving me unconditionally and standing up to my family, because everyone else just took my family's side. They were just like, oh, you know, she's crazy, she went to jail, she's done this, she's done that. Like, yeah, I did.
I want to ask you about your family as well.
Yeah.
It sounds to me like, and I know we didn't get to speak about your beginnings actually in the previous interview, but maybe you could just fill us in now. It sounds like you or your family was also part of the cult, some kind of. So, you know, if you sisters were being mind controlled with these programs already, I mean, and your dad was doing what he was doing to you, then that sounds to me like your family was already involved in the cult. Is that right?
You know, I think so. I'm actually working with a trauma therapist at the moment because there is a lot of blocked out memories. And I do have some very odd memories. And I'm very, like, now, because I'm in a better place, I want to know that those are actually memories that happened to me and they're not something that I'm creating, because some of it is so outrageous that I'm remembering. And the trauma therapist that specializes in mind control and cults and different things, she says, like, I think you were sold into a government program. Whether that's the case or not, I don't know, because I'm still working through that. So I'm not going to say, oh, this is what actually happened. I do know for a fact, though, within regards to my sisters and the pitting against each other, that was something that I believe my parents did do, because I do remember vividly, they would say that my dad worked for Lockheed Martin. Well, Lockheed Martin is a government, you know, they work on different, they used to say he worked on missiles and jets. I don't think he did. I think he worked on other things, and we were a part. And not all of my sisters, because you'll see, I mean, there's 6 of us, and out of the 6 of us, like, there's a couple of us that had maybe not run-ins with the law, but just issues of, like, trust. What do we, like, how do we live this life? How do we live a civilian life? And one of my sisters, when we talk, we're very, I talk to one, that's it. And when we talk, we always say, like, you'll think it's a weird conversation, because we'll say, well, don't tell the family this. And she'll say, don't tell the family this, but we don't talk to them. It's just, we don't want them any part of our life. And I've cut the soul ties with all of them. So, you know, I think once I'm on the other side of doing this with the trauma therapist, I'll come back and talk about it, because I know that there was something there. My birthday is also in May. There was a lot of different government programs with children in May in 1982 when I was born. And so, my trauma therapist is working through that with me as well, because I'm like, I do remember different shock therapy. I remember, like, there was at one point my head was cut open. They told me I ran underneath the slide, but, like, how did my head, like, get cracked open under a slide? I don't know. And I do remember them saying, you have internal stitches in your brain. Well, did you put something in my brain? Like, you know, and that's just, again, you know, it's those questions. I do have a lot of questions within regards to my childhood, because I have blacked out a lot of it. And to me, I always say survivors, it's a healing journey. And the last part of my healing journey is to remember what happened and then forgive and cut that soul tie of what happened to me. And then I think I'm going to be even in a different place than I am now. But I wasn't for many years. I mean, I was just a hot mess. would jump from, you know, a relationship to relationship, or I would just have sex with whoever because I thought that that was normal. And then after, you know, becoming a mom, I'm like, this is not normal. What I'm doing is not normal, and I need to get like my life together. And that's when I went and got a real job as a recruiter, and had like, they were horrible bosses. They were such womanizers, but they did teach me how to be very successful in recruiting and how to make money and like legally, right? Like you're getting a paycheck, you're going to work every day, you know, you're not selling your body, you're just, and using my tools of being trafficked helped me to be able to sell and talk to people. I just knew how to relate to people, and I could start to feel like what they would go through. And so you can kind of relate to them, and then you get them a job and they're thankful, and then you're making money, and it's just, it's amazing, you know?
It's interesting to me that there's, oh, go ahead. I was just going to say that it's really interesting to me that the government has these programs, and they almost completely and exactly match the narcissistic profile. There's like this schematic of the golden child and the scapegoat child, and how they're pitting against each other. And as she's talking, it's just like, you know, I'm getting all these vapors of Tom Althouse's same situation with, you know, his own sister going against him. Until you do the way that we want you to do, you don't get to be the golden child. It's wild.
Right. And they'll do anything. Like when I wrote my book, so my best friend, we were friends in high school, and then we reconnected after like many years. And then she read my book and she goes, now I understand why you disappeared. She's like, you just disappeared and I didn't know where you were. Now her and I are really close. But when I wrote my book, they would tweet her like and say, she's crazy. How do you support her? So anyone that has any type of support or like love towards me, they will like annihilate it. They did it recently. I mean, I think I was just telling you this, you know, I have my friend Max, and they went on his Telegram page and was like, I'm going to send you private messages. And I finally just called one of them out. I'm like, why don't you say it to my face? Like, you are so eager to talk behind my back, but none of these people say it to my face. And you know why they don't? Because they don't have the power and the control over me. So they know that they can't agitate me and they can't irritate me. And so if they were to have a conversation, that I could put them in their place, because they don't have that power. And that the narcissist, when they don't have the power, it is like drives them a batshit crazy, pardon my language, you know, so it just drives them nuts and crazy. And that's what they created. I just think, you know, I was the targeted one in my family. And I do believe that it's not only me. I think there are a lot of families, they do this, and they do that through the school system, where they pick one child and the other one, and the ones that's struggling, and they don't want you to have that like sibling, you know, that sibling bond should be like really tight, right? You know, it should not be, oh, you're better than me or you're better than that. Yeah, you have like sibling rivalry, but it, in the end, like it should be, listen, I can pick on you, but someone else does, I'm gonna like go crazy. You know what I mean? Like that's how it should be. And so I don't believe I'm the only one. I think that there's a lot more out there, and people just don't know how to determine it. And I think those programs are still going on now, even probably more so in the school system. Than before.
You exposed just now something that I would hope that people would pay attention to. If you notice infighting in a family, even if it's, you know, your cousin's family or your neighbor's family, it's not right if one kid is getting beat down and the other ones are being exalted.
Right.
Exactly. It's so interesting what you say that, you know, because again, I mean, we know there are so many programs they create to suppress people and keep them under their control. And you know, this is one I didn't even consider again before, you know, the sibling one. So you get the siblings now to fight against each other. And as you say, Carmen, you know, Tom Althouse has been saying this for many months now, the way they managed to flip his sister and brother and cousins and a whole lot of family members, from what I can gather. And it's pretty much isolate him and his son. So it's very interesting that, because again, it's this divide and conquer. And if they can cut us to threads within the family unit, that's their mission accomplished. Because when that family unit is severed, then that's a lot of problems. That it's a lot to build that up again, because we see how much fighting and chaos happens within families. Sorry, I've got a mosquito flying around me here.
Oh no.
And it would be flying around now, right in the middle of winter. It's ridiculous. Okay. Anyway, so yeah, interesting that. Wow. Anyway.
Yeah, it's funny. I talked to I'm talking to 2 women right now, and both of them have told me that their sons are one of their sons. They have two sons, but one of their sons will not talk to them, think that they're crazy and everything else. It's dividing. If they can divide all of us and our families, then they have the control over it. That's why I was like, I'm pulling my kids.
They go after the nuclear family for sure.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And I think
and they're trying to make it where, having children is even bad. How crazy is that?
Right.
I don't know. We did a show actually about a year ago as well, with one of our Jessie shows. And it was on this breast milk that Bill Gates and co have created, this
oh my gosh.
Organic breast milk. And again, now we understand, the greatest nourishment for a child is to be breastfed by its mother. And that, again, would be just one of these isolating mother, the mother can't cope and, what have you, and just take our breast milk. It's perfect. God knows what's all in there, right? I mean, I wouldn't even want to think about that, but that's really crazy.
Well, speaking of Bill Gates, I'm wondering about that mosquito right now.
I know. I'm like,
it's probably
Bill Gates mosquitoes.
Yeah.
Exactly. There's little supersonic nanobot mosquitoes that can't die.
Seriously.
Yeah, crazy. Well, it certainly is persistent enough, that's for sure. And I don't want to be like too hectic with slapping it here in front of everyone. Anyway, I really like what you said. That is
like, because Madison is experienced, and I know this is a horrific question, and I'm sorry, but I really am curious about the mind of a rapist, pedophile / just sicko. Do you see a difference in their basic humanity? Like, do you even just wonder, like, about your dad? Is he actually full out human? I know that this sounds like a very bizarre question, but I think Madison will understand what I'm asking.
I do, actually, because, I feel like, I've forgiven them, and I actually went through a grieving process of their deaths. So if someone called me and said that they were dead, I would be like, whatever, because I've cut that soul tie. But that is something, going and doing these extractions and seeing these people are not human. They're demonic. And, it's funny because I've thought about that. Like, how do you do that to a child? You can't be normal. Like, normal people don't say, I'm good, like, or do not even say, but go and do and harm a child. So that's something, and that's one of the reasons why I wanted to go see a trauma therapist, because I know I'm not crazy, but I needed someone that specializes in this kind of stuff. Because if you do go and talk about, like, is this person human? What happened here? Like, who am I? You know what I mean? Like, the identity of yourself is, they're going to say you're crazy, and they're going to try to, like, put you in mental ward. You know what I mean? So you have to go look into it. I mean, I just feel like he was so demonic, and I feel like my mom knew it, and she just, I'm the 6th child. It was like, I'm over this. I'm not going to fight for you. She was exhausted and tired, and just said, I'm done. So those are questions that I have asked, but I also just believe in my heart he was demonic and probably dabbled in different type of witchcraft. And that's where, you open up that spirit realm, even unknowingly, and it gets a hold of you. It's hard to come out of it. And usually when you problem a child, you're not coming on the other side of it.
at all.
Do you feel like you can recognize one now faster, like the type, like you'll be even at a church or something and you get like a vibe from the person?
Oh yeah, when I'm out and about, I can see in the spirit realm, I can see demons and I can see angels. And there is a certain, I don't know how to describe it, like a certain pedophile demon, like that looks the same. And so, I mean, I am very like aware of my surroundings around me, especially if, you know, I have my kids or any other kids around me to see. And so you can usually spot them pretty quickly. Sometimes it'll take me a second, but they'll start talking to you and you're like, okay. And because the demon wants to try to get at you. And so they'll want to have a conversation just like a normal person, but they're really like creepy. And, you know, where someone else wouldn't think that they're creepy. They probably just think, oh, this person's friendly or drunk or whatever. And they're just a demonic pedophile. But I wouldn't ever say, oh, hey, you're a pedophile. You know, I just don't engage with it because that's what the demonics and the spirit realm wants. They want you to engage because if you engage a little bit, then you know,
you get drawn in.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I love what you said earlier when you were speaking about what the whole trafficking, etc., brought you was just the ability to have the compassion and the understanding and the intuition that has obviously been part of God's plan, is that you go through that experience and come out stronger and wiser and more amazing on the other side. Whereas now, as you say, you know, you can do the extractions that you do, you can connect with people, you can sense things, and it really has enabled you to do your job a lot more effectively. Would you agree with that?
Oh, absolutely. I always say that if there are extraction teams, they should be survivor led because you just know what these kids and women and sometimes men, right? I mean, because men have been trafficked too, what they've gone through, and they should be survivor led, but healthy survivor led. You know, it took me many years to get where I'm at. And it started, and I talk about her all the time, and she's still just my, you know, my regular therapist. My she's like a Jewish old lady. I mean, I love her to death. And she taught me different skill sets of being accountable for my actions. And I, you know, you can go to a Christian therapist, but a Christian like therapist or pastor that's not, you know, a creep, they don't know how to explain to you what like how to cut the demonics of like soul ties. Well, maybe a pastor might, but they don't usually talk about it. And so like when you're seeing a therapist and they're telling you like, okay, here's how you be accountable for your actions, then you can come over here on the spiritual side. But you can't get to the spiritual side until you know exactly, okay, here is where I'm not accountable for what other people did, but I am accountable for certain choices I made. And so to get into that healthy, and that's not an easy thing. Listen, when she said to me, she like said certain things, even when I was going through my divorce and it was horrific, she said to me, I wanted to throw something at her. She goes, well, you're accountable for staying and you're accountable because you chose him and married him. And I was like, well, no, I'm not. Like, and then you go and you like, think about it and you're like, wait, I am responsible because as things escalated with him, I allowed it to escalate. I could have walked away when abuse happened and different things. I could have walked away, but I stayed. So I'm accountable for those actions. I'm accountable for making the choice to go into the porn industry. I'm not accountable for when they put me back into it. Yes, that choice led to some horrific things, but I also am thankful now of the things that I've gone through because I wouldn't be here now. I wouldn't be able to go help these kids. And I literally, my heart beats for them. And these women, like, you know, I want them to be okay. There was one who she had posted on Facebook, like, I need help and no one's helping me. And I knew of her. And so I just sent her a message. I was like, well, what do you need help with? And she goes, I need a car. And she had been taking a Lyft from her job every day, spending that money. And then she was taking a Lyft to go and where the homeless people live in the forest in Austin, Texas. She would go take a Lyft and cut their hair every Saturday. I'm like, so this woman who's a survivor is like giving back, but no one's helping her. She called different organizations and everything. So I just posted and I was like, listen, she needs a car. Can you guys help her? and she posted and she's like, I have a car. And that's where it's like, to me, I just want these women to be okay, because they are like the most giving, awesome souls that you have ever met, yet so much was stolen from them. So much was stolen from us. Like but we have that heart like that, you know. I think that's where sometimes my life gets infiltrated sometimes, because I just have a love for people and humanity. And so if people are hurting, but I also need to not create, you got to remember to create those soul like ties with these people, because I do tend to attract narcissistic personalities because of everything that I have gone through. So you have to be really careful. There's like it's a balance. It's not an easy life to live, but it's a balance, you know.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That is never an easy task after that. So, but very rewarding nonetheless. So once you got out, you started working, started doing your thing, how did you get into the extractions and doing the stuff that you're doing now? That must have been quite interesting for you.
That's an interesting story. So God had told me to start speaking out. And I was like, no, I'm not going to do that, because and you know, people know that celebrities and politicians and everything, they're like creepos, right? So they know, but to start speaking out against churches, that's a whole nother level of people are crazy, you know? And so, especially because this mega church in California, a lot of people, I get so many messages that say, we sat under that pastor, but they felt in their soul something was wrong. So I started speaking out. And then I also started to file lawsuits against my traffickers. And the reason that I did that was to have like a level of protection, kind of like, I have a bunch of dead man switches, but that's one of them. And so I filed them under Jane Doe's, just because I didn't want people to like go and find those and leak those, so they won't know exactly who I am and who I'm suing. So my attorney got a call and said, she's like, you're being subpoenaed. Well, I'm like, well, just quash it. Like, you know, because I get subpoenaed a lot is people want my receipts. And so people don't have the right to have access to that. You know what I mean? And if we go into the lawsuits and discovery, then that stuff will come up, but they don't want to go to discovery in this sense. So she said, no, it's a military subpoena. And I was like, why? I'm a civilian. I don't like, I was so confused. She goes, we need to meet. And so we had to meet in person. And she said, listen, this is a military subpoena. They're asking you to go testify in tribunals against the people that trafficked you and these elite people. And I was like, no way, I'm not doing that. I like, when God tells me to do something, I never just say yes. Like, God's gonna be like, listen, didn't I just always show you when I meet him in person? Like,
we have a little wrestle first, right?
Yeah.
That's what Jesse always says too.
Right. So I'm like, okay. And so finally I said, okay, I'm gonna go. And it's funny because there's a couple I talk about, Michelle, she's an admin on my page, and her husband, Mr. Happy Face, because he doesn't like to be known. And they were starting to wake up, right? And so I'm like, I trust them with my babies, and I need them to watch my babies so I can go fly to test them. Like, I'm like, are they gonna think I'm crazy or not? But they just were so gracious, took my babies, and I, flew a couple times. And then said to my attorney, listen, like, I cannot continue to just go back and forth. Like, let's bust it out however we need to do. So if I need to stay there for a week, if I need to stay there for a month, like, let's do this so I can get them, testify and then move on. And tribunals are not like a normal court, right? There's like few minutes, you like say your testimony, you identify what you're identifying, and then you move on. So the last time that I went and I got pulled into a room, I was like, and I'm not going to say who, but got pulled into a room. They were like, listen, we want you to extract these kids and we want to combat train you. And I had already been training, which is funny, just doing combat training with a former 3-letter agency person in Colorado and her husband, and they were trying to do like different things because they just were over the corruption. And so I was training with them, and then I'm walking in this room and I'm like, why are you, out of all people, asking me? You go find other people, go find like military to do this. And they were like, nope, this, like, you're chosen to do this. And I said no at first. I was like, no way, I'm not doing that. And I was in Colorado, you know, I do have like kids. And so how am I going to like move out of my state into a new state? Like, this is not going to happen. So I prayed about it. And then I made the call and I said, you know what? That yes, I'm going to do this, because who else is doing it? You know what I mean? Now it's funny. And now I kind of know who's doing it and who isn't. People try to lie and say they weren't, but that's just them trying to discredit certain people. You know what I mean? And so I said, yeah, I'll do it. And so I started praying. I was like, God, I need you to open the doors for me to be able to move, because, and I will not leave my babies at all. And so I was like, open the door, and God did. And originally I was going to start off just running the houses where the kids stay. And they said, then all the things happened with the border and everything else. And they said, listen, we need you to go in and extract, because you're gun trained and combat trained, and we need you to lead a team to go in. And I was like, to go lead people into this world that I had never done before, it was very overwhelming and very like, these people's lives are now in my hands of going in. So if I do something wrong, they're going to get hurt. And the first couple of times I actually was the one who got hurt, because I hesitated to shoot. I hesitated to do certain things, but that was because I never wanted to harm a kid. I never want to harm a child when someone's running off with the child and you're having to chase them because they're so demonic. You know what I mean? So I just agreed to do it. And then here I am doing it. It's funny. People always say, well, she's had these court things. She did this and she did that. Listen, we all know at this point that the courts sit on water. They are not lawful here in America. And so, yes, I can own a gun. I always have it sitting here, right here. I have a lot more, but I can own guns, and I can go and extract these kids. And people ask all the time, why would they pick a porn star? You know why they pick me? Because I will go look at the devil in the face and fight him so these kids can have a better life. Other people won't, and they don't know what the devil looks like. They don't know what demons look like. And I was trafficked for almost a decade. And, even everything I went through, I still had fight in me. And so I want these kids to know they can have fight in them and they can have a better life, and that they, no matter what they've gone through, they can overcome it and they can be amazing and great. We have one right now. He just said, he's 18, and he actually just said a few days ago, oh, I want to be a mechanic. And so we're going to push him through that so he can go be a mechanic. We didn't pressure him of, you need to do this or you need to do that. We said, you can do whatever you want. Even if and we even said, if you go to mechanic school and you don't like it, that's okay. You can go do whatever you want. We're not stuck in like these boxes that they put us. And so I got asked to by some amazing human being that one day I'll share that story. I can't now of who I work for, but I mean, and listen, if I ever die or anything, my friend knows where to get my journals and she can publish all of it. But it just, to be asked now, looking back, it's an honor to be asked and to serve. I am tired and exhausted. It does mentally wear on me, because some of the things you see, you can't explain, and you can't explain to the normal world, even people that say they're awake, because I don't want to say that I don't think they're ready to hear it. I think that it's so unbelievable that it would be hard for them to comprehend that this is really going on around us. And the demonic, this is really a spiritual battle, and a spiritual war of good and evil. And it's, I'm starting to realize who's on the side of good and who's on the side of evil. And it's not pretty. It's you think that there's a lot more on the side of good, and they're not.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I can well imagine. What I wanted to ask you about the extractions and stuff. We've been hearing a lot over the past 2 years about the children that have been rescued from the tunnels and stuff like that, and these task teams that have been going in and rescuing them. But then, of course, there's those that question whether this is really happening and what is happening to the kids, and when they come out and stuff like that. from your experience, what can you tell us about that? Are the dams being cleaned up? Is it as serious and as hectic as what they've made us believe it is, or the information that they've passed on to us about that? And the children that come out, are they safe? Are they going to places where they're being kept safely? Are they being fostered? How are they being cared for? Have you any idea about all of that?
I do. So I am in charge of multiple houses that they go to. I don't go to them often because the kids will get attached. And so I just check in to make sure like things are running the way that they should be. But usually, you know, I believe the number, and I might have this wrong, I have to go back and look. It's like 79 or 89% of kids that have been trafficked have come through CPS, Child Protective Services. So we try to go and look for their family is the first thing. And then we assess, okay, why were they taken away from the family in the first place? A lot of times it was either, you know, a single mom or a single dad, and maybe they didn't live in the best area, but they were taking care of their child. They just targeted that family, and no, that family should have never had their children taken away. And so on that front, we try to have the kids go through therapy and the family. Like, we don't want to just like place them back because that's like traumatizing for the child, but we try to kind of have them do therapy together. If there's you can place them. If we don't find anybody, there are people that have asked to foster, but that is like a long process because we don't know, we don't work with the foster care system. We don't want to work with them because a lot of those foster families only do it because they want to get the money and they're wanting to harm those children. So they have houses. In the houses that they live, there's a therapist that live on site. There is a doctor. If the doctor does not live on site, they live within like a close distance. And there's houses all across the United States. We haven't had any incidents up until recently where they did, and we're trying to figure out where the leak was here. But there was a house that got caught on fire, and so we had to remove those kids, which is difficult because when they're doing well and thriving, then all of a sudden their home gets burnt down. It's, what do? You have to relocate them and find, you know, different places. But it's is it as serious? Yes, it is. I mean, a lot of the large companies and major corporations are fronts for child trafficking, and people don't want to believe that, but that's why they set up these mega corporations. That's why they can hide and traffic people through, they can traffic the children through. And so I think people don't realize how big it actually is. A lot of people say to me, it's not all about child trafficking and human trafficking. I said, actually, yes, it is, because they're targeting not only the kids that they've trafficked, but the kids in the school system too. And there are a lot of like DUMs and stuff under schools, so they can go and like molest these kids and do different things in the school, and then those kids go home to their parents and just act out and act crazy and not crazy, I don't want to, that's not the right word, act like where they have outbursts and different things because they're getting harmed in the school. So I know it is getting cleaned out. I didn't realize how many people were doing it. I mean, you know, people try to talk bad about like, you know, Jessie Saboter, like they used to try to say negative things to me about her a lot. And I even was confused for a while there. And now I'm like, you guys know how badass she is. Like, you guys wouldn't dare like go have a conversation with her. So just stop, because you're trying to discredit. Like, what I realize is the ones that they're trying to discredit are the ones that are on the front lines, and that are, you know, we may be in different areas of what we're doing, but we're all on the front lines doing it in different ways. And so it's like not an easy task. Like I tell Jessie all the time, I'm praying for you. She says it to me too, of, hey, we're praying for each other, care about you. And, you know, you have to stick together when you're fighting it, but it is really serious. And I know people always offer like, hey, can I help? And that's a hard one too, because you hire someone and then what, they're not good. You can check them out as much as you want, but you never know who's trying to infiltrate and who isn't. And I guarantee you, the person that asked me to do this, I'm sure they watched me for a while. I am not naive to think that they didn't watch to see who and what I was to make sure that I would go and protect these kids.
How are the kids doing, the ones that are in your houses and stuff? How does a child survive these kind of traumas? Because I can imagine not just what they've experienced themselves, but what they've seen other children go through must be very, very hectic for them. So just from your experience as well, how are these little kiddies doing that are in your homes?
You know, they are, I said this before, they have so much joy, and it's crazy. And that's a God thing, I'm telling you, because the joy that they have in them, and then like they may be closed off, but as they start to trust and realize that they're in a safe place and that they're not going to hurt, they just, the joy about them, I don't know how to explain it. It has to be a God thing, because, you know, yes, they come to us scared and they've gone through so much trauma and traumatic things. You know, when you get older children, you have to work with them because they think that touching a younger one is normal. They're not demonic. They were taught that. They were taught, you know, that this sexual feeling is normal at a young age, and a sexual awakening, or whatever you want to call it, when you're having those hormones, should not happen at a young age, period. It shouldn't. And so they think it's normal. And if it ever felt good to them, they think that that's normal. And so that side of it is really difficult, because we want to make sure that we're not sending predators out into the world, right? That we're sending them healed and on another level of good. A lot of these organizations, they don't work on that aftercare. Let's rescue them and then let's just throw them into these different houses and let's tell them what they need to do. And they don't work on that mental side of it. And we do have spiritual people that are praying over them, but that is like down the road. We don't want to pressure that, but we also need a spiritual covering over each house, so the demonics of what has happened to these kids cannot get in. But they are thriving. I mean, we do have where they set up schools and their age, so when they're ready, you know, you can't just rescue them and say, okay, now you're going to do school and do all of this. You know, you have to kind of let them go at their pace. And so we're really doing things differently. I know that there's other like people out there doing it like us, but these anti-trafficking organizations that are worth millions and millions of dollars, they're not doing things the right way. They're just doing it to gain funds on the name of human trafficking. But I mean, I love these babies. You know, one of my friends and I were like, we just want to adopt all of them, you know, we're like, and I do know that if people wanted to adopt them, that's the next phase, but we don't know how to go about that the right way and lawfully until where they're not harmed, because we want to make sure that they are okay and that they are loved and, you know, people aren't going to harm them.
Some of them gone back to their parents. As you say, that there would have been some that were kind of kidnapped out of the system unnecessarily. And the ones that obviously need to be adopted out don't have parents then. So what would be the situation there? Would they then maybe been part of the breeder programs? Where are their parents, the ones that don't have parents?
Well, some of them it's hard to find because they'll come from like on the border where Mexico is, they'll come from other countries. So it's like near impossible to try to find, you know, where they have come from. And then, yes, we do think some have come from the breeders. We have rescued some women that have birthed these children, but they have like a disattachment disorder to them, because they get pregnant and then they take the baby, they get pregnant and they take the baby. So you can't give them back to them because they don't want them. And it's not the woman's fault. It's just what mentally she had to do to separate. And yes, we have found some of the children's families and we keep like close contact with them, not because we're trying to control that. We just want to make sure that family has a need, whether it's therapy or anything like that, that we can help them with it, because these kids do go back and have triggers and outbursts and different things that this family that their kid got taken away they're not getting back that same child. It is a different child that has just gone through some horrific things. And I don't even think a parent that's a good parent and loving can understand what they've gone through. So that's like the difficult part of even explaining to the parent, you're not getting back the same child. It is your child, but mentally it's not your baby. It's they created something. That's what they want, though. They want to create these monsters, and children are not. They are, people always say, touch not my anointed, of these ridiculous pastors. To me, the anointed are our children, and they are the ones that we shouldn't be touched or harming.
Amen.
Absolutely. Amen to that. You're a mom yourself, so I'm interested again, after you yourself have been through so much as a child, as a teenager, as a young adult, as an adult, you've not just what you've been through, but from what you've also witnessed other kids to have been through, and how easy it is for these guys to grab children and do whatever they do. Have you found that for yourself as a mom? Finding the balance where you're not becoming too overprotective over your kids, that you've got to watch them every second and make sure they're breathing and sit there with cameras in their rooms and, whatever it is. But how do you find that balance in your life regarding that now?
That is not an easy balance. I when I come back after an extraction, I kind of feel agitated because my kids are just being kids, right? And I'm like, you don't know how good your life is, just because I'm so protective. But my kids are innocent, right? All kids are innocent, so they don't know. They're like, well, mommy's being cuckoo. And my kids, I have a good relationship with them where they can tell me, like, Mom, you need to stop. Like, you need to not. I want them to be able to communicate their feelings with me. And I do, I have a hard time of that. I don't want to be that overbearing, protective mom, but I'm very open with them. And very I'm very direct with certain things, age appropriate, but very direct. And, it's a balance. Mine are still little, so it's not like they have the freedom to kind of go and do whatever, but it's definitely a balance there. It's funny. My friends had come to visit me. For my birthday, and we were all at a park. All of our kids are at a park, and this little girl came up to one of my littles, and my friend's little, and said, oh, do you want to see my switch? It's like a great color and whatever. And so they started walking to the van, and that's when I lose it, because I'm like, wait, I taught you to never walk, even with a kid or a child telling you. And so it's like, my poor friend, I'm like, you do come over here. I'm having a conversation with you, and you don't. I'm like, because that's when they can grab you, and that's when they're being manipulative. So it's definitely a balance, but that's where, I have my regular therapist of where I can call and talk to her, because, you are going and seeing, you do create PTSD when you're going and doing these extractions and different things. So for me to have that outside source of someone that I can talk to of that, and then come back and be normal. And it's funny, Carmen actually gave me this exercise, and I've done it and I love it. It's where you different personalities of whether you're angry or sad or whatever, and you name each one of them. and then you can get rid of it. So if I have any kind of different type of emotion, when I come back, I do that, and it's really helped me kind of let it go and move on. But it is a hard balance. But when I come back, I'm focused on my kids. I homeschool them. I can manage the houses and everything from my home. And so, sometimes I need to go into the office once in a while, but for the most part, I can be present as a mom. And then I can get, when I need to go into the extractions, I get out of mommy mode into extraction mode, because I do know that my kids are safe when I'm on an extraction. I mean, they're under protection, they're covered. So
that's amazing. Well, I just want to say, I think what you're doing now is absolutely incredible. I've got such admiration for the work that you're doing, and clearly the risks you take every single day doing what you're doing. It's amazing. So thank you for that. Incredible. Yeah.
Thank the person that hired me. Just,
Yes.
All of
Thank him
you,
or
I
her
think.
for us,
Yeah,
please.
absolutely. Because I think obviously there's a team of very brave humans that are on our beautiful planet right now that are doing the stuff you're doing, and I think that's quite amazing. So
yeah.
really incredible. And I wish you so much. Luck is so not the right word. Love, strength, energy, everything for the future. And may each and every one of these kids get rested.
Me too. Me too. And just for the record, she's no longer a hot mess, and she's not a hover mother. She has a beautiful balance, at least from what I've witnessed. So I think she's like, I think she and Jesse, Cheryl Back, there's so many of them that are just badass is the only word that fits.
Yeah, very badass. I love it. Yeah. So that's amazing. Anyway.
Took me a long time not to be a hot mess, but it's once you know like what your triggers are and things that trigger you, you can calm yourself down really quickly, and you can really just be just things don't bother you like they used to. Like things aren't so serious. You're just kind of like, okay, that's really not that serious. Am I hurt? Are my kids hurt? Like it's not. On the other side of when you see all these things that really do matter, the little things in life just don't matter anymore. The what the devil wants you to live in, that fear and that anger and that just constant state of worry, there's no reason to. God's got it. So let's just live your life and be happy.
It's an illusion.
Yes. Yeah.
Absolutely. Wow, ladies, it's been amazing. And as always, time flies when we are having such fun. And Madison, I'm definitely going to grab you and come back on again in the future. I know that you are thinning down on your shows and things, but I don't know, maybe I'll be able to like convince you and coerce you again in the future with Carmen.
I would love to.
She's very convincing.
I would love to.
I want to announce that I have got like the A-team, dream team coming on my channel May 11th. Chantelle will be there. Jesse will be there. Madison will be there. Cheryl Beck will be there. Tom Althouse will be there. And maybe Maria Farmer. We'll see how she's feeling.
Wow.
So it should be really, really fun. And as a special bonus, I found out that's actually Madison's birthday. So we'll have to wear party hats or something.
Well, definitely what we must do is 11th of May on Carmen STUDER show. We'll actually advertise it here as well. I know we've got it in, and I think it's the same time, right? Is it the same time as
11 a.m. Yeah, Central Time.
Yeah, 6 o'clock for me. So we'll be having this monster awesome woman bonus, except for Tom. I mean, Tom will be in his element with all these girls. Can you imagine?
I cannot wait to meet Tom and Cheryl. I actually just sent Cheryl an email. I couldn't, she had like posted it on my channel, so I'm going to talk to her before, but I can't wait to meet them. And Maria Farmer, if you watch this, I just want you to know, I know you're badass and I believe you, and you got a friend in me. So
oh, that's so sweet of you. Yeah, because she's one of those that I believe is being attacked because she's on, you know, the front lines. But I mean, I don't even understand how someone attacks her. I mean, she has a federal case. Like, I don't know how much more proof you need than that, right?
Right.
It's really, you know, these attacks, and when we're even looking at the ones on Twitter, particularly with Jesse, these people keep regurgitating the same information. The thing is, it's not about the information they're putting out there. It's about the despair they cause. It's about the frustration. It's the divide and conquer. It's all of these psychological warring elements that they use. So I mean, I know for a fact the lies they tell. They've been sending stuff around me on Twitter, and I'm like, what? Everything is so twisted. So I know for a fact, just through my experience, how much of that stuff is twisted and taken out of context. And you know, and I know and not just Jesse. I know Madison. You've had horrible stuff as regarding that as well. Carmen, so have you. We've all been accused of all sorts
I'm
of things.
demon fly.
Yeah, you.
Hey, if I'm a demonic, then the whole world's in trouble because I'm about as fluffy as it gets, right? Oh my God. And I have to say, Madison's dead on about it. Like, don't give it energy. It's when we give it energy that it, that it grows,
Yeah.
Exactly.
Listen,
Demon fly behave.
I wouldn't want to go to war with Demon Fly, Chantelle, and definitely not Jessie. Okay, like people sent me a dossier on Jessie, and I was like, "Listen, you go to war with her. I'm on her side because she's gonna take y'all out. I'm just gonna sit back and watch. I don't even need the help. She's gonna have like one little prayer, and boom, you're out. Like you're."
But isn't it funny? They accuse Jessie of being this horrendous, dark, evil witch. Hey, if she's the things they accuse her of, I'd be very freaking careful. I wouldn't be accusing that dark witch.
Right? Right. You better watch out. It's like
exactly.
Listen.
But it's very interesting, and I think it's wonderful that we are all on the same side. We playing on the same team, yeah, and it's just amazing. I just love getting to meet all of you beautiful women from across the world. And men definitely, but just seems to be more women that I tend to team up with. So amazing, ladies. Thank you so much for brightening up my Friday evening. It's been wonderful. Is there anything you guys want to say in closing just before we end off? Madison, you first.
Thank you for having me on. I appreciate it. I'll definitely come back on. I just adore you already. And Carmen knows I adore her. I feel like her and I always talk all the time, talk for hours. I'm like, wait, why? I love her. So, and Carmen and I are not sisters, but I will adopt her as sisters. People keep saying we're sisters.
You can. There's definitely, you could have fooled me. If I'd seen the two of you sitting, having coffee together in a restaurant, I would have thought you two sisters meet. Yeah.
Well, you know what's really sad about that? I have a friend that's got really, really big boobs, very sexy. And she and I, several times while we're out, people come over and ask us if we're porn stars. So maybe there's something there. I even had a waitress one time. I was telling her, hey, she was saying that she was a film school student and all this stuff. And it's when I was producing. And I said, you should get in contact with me. We're doing a movie right now. And she goes, oh no, I don't do porn. Like what?
You're a witch, you're a demon fly, you're a porn star. What else?
It's just like, okay, it made for a great laugh for about an hour with my friends because there was a whole bunch of people at the table. Still gave that girl a good tip. I hope she is aware of how kind that was.
Now she really thinks you're a porn star because if you get paid as a porn star, you make a lot of money.
Oh, y'all. Ending here is so
Carmen, that's what I say. Carmen, first a demon fly, then a witch, now a porn star.
But basically, everyone just projects on you what they are.
Yes, it is.
And look at you. Madison, look at her. She sits there. She looks so innocent, like butter wouldn't melt in her mouth, right?
You know what's funny is I'm going to say that I have a friend that is still in the industry that looks like Carmen. I'm like, maybe they're just mixing up the two. I'm going to have to send you a picture, Carmen.
Well, Carmen, you've got that beautiful all-American fresh look,
yeah,
the way that we grew up, that us outback as
the worst porn star because I do not follow directions.
Oh my God.
You did hit like stop live show, right? I'm not pulling all.
No, we're still live.
I know, I'm just kidding.
Oh my gosh. That is awesome.
We got to get you a name, Carmen. We got to get you that name.
Your
So
first
funny.
name is your they say the name of your first pet and the name of the first street you lived on.
That would not be good.
Oh my goodness, this is so funny. I can't stop laughing.
Crying.
Carmen,
My cheeks hurt.
Like crying.
Oh my gosh, my eyes are watering so bad.
Okay, before our viewers think we're high or something, or whatever.
Oh, there's gonna be lots of comments about this, I
Oh my
promise you.
gosh.
We high on life and we high on love, guys. So thank
just
you
gonna
so
blame-
much.
I'm just gonna blame that mosquito. Texas real quick.
It's a nanobot, I'll have you know. It's not a mosquito. Carmen the porn star. I'll see you next week.
Bye, guys. Bye.
Buddy.
Bye.
I'm so out of here, guys. Look at this. I can't even talk anymore.